Welcome on in. We are live. Welcome to the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. It is December 4th, 2025. And what a day. What a day. Hassan finally speaks out against Asmongold and Ethan Klein. Kaceytron forever. I'm laughing at how poorly Ethan Klein's settlement with Kaceytron has been received. Like when I heard about it, I was like, oh my god, what pathetic shit is he making her say? And then you know what? The way that every single person who's not a complete freak sees it, and they're like, well, this woman is a hostage, and it's just completely backfired. And I think pretty much the only conclusion you can make about Ethan Klein and Kaceytron is he couldn't defeat her. She's such a reasonable person. She's such a good person. And even a malicious millionaire couldn't defeat her. He had to settle. And he's such a fucking abuser weirdo that he made her put together this obviously puppeteered statement. The only people it satisfies are the sadistic IDF coded freaks that support Israel's genocide, because you have to be malicious to do that. No, everybody else sees it and goes, oh, this is a woman being coerced. She obviously doesn't believe what she's being forced to say. Who would want somebody to speak like this over stuff like, why would you get her to apologize to Asmongold? Like, just a pathetic loser who was defeated by Kaceytron. And the power, obviously, of the feminine. You know, that's really what happened here. Is because Kaceytron was willing. Also, I have a Cult Coochie merch mug. I recommend everybody get on that. Got the Cult Coochie Kaceytron merch. I legitimately cannot think of a more quintessential example of a misogynist man getting exactly what he wants and it blowing up his entire world because it's so small and selfish. Whereas Kaceytron did what so many women do, sacrificed herself for her family's sake. And I'm sure in that moment there was a feeling of shame and humiliation, but honestly, the way that people have reacted to it has filled my heart with love. I realized that actually most people are normal. People that are from outside this like little evil streamer circle that promotes the most fucking narcissistic evil pieces of shit, and they do it intentionally, like Tectone, Rich Campbell, Asmongold, Destiny, Ethan Klein, all being allies. You know what I mean? Like Nux Taku, all the most evil scum in the fucking planet, all allying themselves. I mean, obviously, right? But, well, especially when Kaceytron had been so open and emotional and honest with her audience, and then she reads that statement in the most monotone manner imaginable, it was immediately apparent what was going on. She's a master of the craft. I mean, really, it is an example of the divine feminine slaying the demonic male. Like, really, like I'm not even memeing. I'm dead serious. Like her love is shining through. The love that she has for her family is shining through. She completely outplayed him. And yeah, you know, it's unfortunate that it had to go this way. She just absolutely fucking schooled him. The millionaire with his Zionist settler lawyer and his Indonesian scam fugitive law firm. He got fucking owned by her. He got destroyed by her. And it's over now. He did her apology for copyright infringement, which he knows is not real. The reason why he sued the people he sued is because he knew they wouldn't have the resources to take him all the way in, right? If he sued Hassan countersues him for defamation. Hassan countersues him for copyright infringement. Hassan puts $250,000 in a retainer for a top law firm, and they just go to town on Ethan Klein. And they're pursuing like collateral theories about using copyright infringement for, you know, as a there's all sorts of novel legal theories that if you gave a powerful law firm some money and some room to run, they could fucking tie up Ethan Klein up, and he would lose probably. Like on some of these new collateral theories, like I think there's an aspect of law. I was reading some copyright law where people want to use slap in copyright suits like this one, copyright troll lawsuits like this one, to say this isn't really about copyright. This is an attempt to do a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And so the copyright law needs to be the frivolous nature of this copyright lawsuit needs to be read into the, you know, the state level statutes on slap, and therefore the associated penalties with a slap lawsuit should apply. Like, there is some stuff happening in the Ninth Circuit, which is in California, which is where two of the people being sued live, Rogan and Denham. So there is, like, you know, that's why he didn't sue Assad, because if he sues Assad, he probably ends up paying all of Assad's legal bills. And, you know, I do wish Assad would sue some of these people. I do think he should. But, you know, at the end of the day, I also think that maybe Hassan's instinct of just moving on and doing what he does is the better path, you know? And, you know, it's somebody like Asmongold. The thing about somebody like Asmongold is he has no life. There's really nothing that he cares about. And there's nothing that, you know what I mean? You just have this parasite, really the lowest of the low. And LSF needs to be shut down. I do think Hassan should sue LSF and start, you know, copyright infringing every single one of his, like, every time a clip of his is posted on LSF, he should DMCA it, and then he should sue them, like, literally, to get that website shut down, because they are stealing his content and maliciously editing it to create propaganda. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to take somebody else's show and maliciously edit it and then spread propaganda and then make money off of that. You can't do that. That's Reddit should shut it down. They're blatantly encouraging IRL harassment and stalking. I want you guys to know something, that nothing's gonna happen until someone's hurt. Wouldn't that affect the industrial complex? No, you have the right to grant limited licenses to people to use your content. You have the right to grant people limited licenses to making edits of your content. And how many, like, you know, it's not that big a deal. Nothing will probably happen if somebody gets hurt. It'll just be thoughts and, I mean, you might be right. You might be right. Nothing's gonna happen because Twitch is scared. And with Donald Trump in power, Twitch is keeping their head down. They don't want to do anything against the right-wing content creators. This is my personal theory, that Twitch doesn't want to ban any of the right-wing content creators until the Democrats get Congress back. Like, literally. Like, I think they're worried that if they do anything to stop, you know, in this political climate, they could get targeted and have no recourse, which honestly is pretty sophisticated and probably true. Do I know the details of the settlement? Did he get much money from the GoFundMe? Oh, I just tweeted about this. That's a really good question. Now, I don't know the details of the settlement because most settlement details are confidential. And so I would never want to imperil any settlement by asking Kaceytron what they would be. But based on my personal experience and knowledge, this is what I tweeted. Ethan Klein posted this clip, or made this clip of him going through people by name on his stream who donated to Kaceytron.
Paulu Kinks for the 500, Shauna M, Elizabeth Adams.
Okay, so I want you to understand that none of this is true. Based on how far along the process, which I was aware of, these trials have gone, meaning they've gone through like all the pre-trial stages and they were getting ready to trial. This was the final state-mandated mediation meeting before scheduling a trial date. So they've gone through all sorts of discovery. They've gone through all sorts of like motions for summary judgment. They've gone through all sorts of pre-trial shit, and they were getting ready to advance into the trial stage. So that is, you know, $30, $40, $50,000 of expenses, because there's also, you know, expert witnesses subpoenaing things like Discord and Reddit and all sorts of collateral motions on that. GoFundMe money's gone. He's lying. What he's trying to do is get you to charge back Kaceytron so that GoFundMe goes after Kaceytron. Right? That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get you to go, you know, charge back so that GoFundMe goes after Kaceytron and be like, hey, your GoFundMe had a large number of chargebacks. We need you to pay us. That's what he's trying to do. I want you to know this money isn't going to Ethan Klein, and you're not taking money from Ethan Klein. Okay? This is just Ethan Klein trying to get more money out of Casey, because whatever the settlement is, it was probably a small amount of money, relatively. Nowhere near like, not into the hundreds of thousands that, you know, it was some small amount of money. What Ethan Klein really wanted was her to be forced to apologize. And so he's trying to make it financially worse for her, right? Like that's the reality. So as far as I would concerned, consider your GoFundMe money spent the way you wanted it to be spent, and just ignore this kind of shit. He's lying. He's a scumbag. He knows he's a liar. It is what it is. And I'm sorry we're doing drama or whatever, but it is linked. All of this is linked to politics, guys. All of this is linked to politics. Whether you like it or not, Asmongold, all these scumbags are part of the short period in time that got Trump back into office, where this kind of right-wing shit was more popular because there was a lack of an alternative on the left. We were blocked out of power, and Trump was able to get back into power because of it. But it's going away. It's going away. And part of this reality is we have to take these people on. By the way, chat, I want to tease something. Chat. I am working on a major project to do just that, where me and a few creators, we are creating a new project where we go after people like Asmongold, and we investigate who the fuck they are, why they believe what they believe, and we will excavate the bowels of the online right, and we will expose these people for exactly who they are. So I want you guys to get hyped, because that is coming in the new year. Where are the TechToad files? Have they been delayed permanently? I think most people know what happened, right? He's being sued for a permanent protective order, which is basically why he decided to leave Austin, Texas, as a way of trying to avoid that. Everybody knows that now. And that's why he doesn't stream anymore, because he would be violating the protective orders that are currently in place by harassing. He wasn't able to stream while not harassing and defaming his victims. So that's why he's not streaming anymore, in case you're wondering. If you need a timestamp, I think there's an edited video we're going to take a look at. Actually, I believe Casey saw she probably had to take a plea deal, so she master planned going all the way to the pretrial stage so she could use up all that money for the GoFundMe so Ethan wouldn't get any money. So she just wasted thousands of dollars for a KSD hostage video. She's a master at this. I mean, that's basically what happened. The amount of money ultimately is a drop of the bucket. What he actually was trying to do was to get this apology because he thought it would make her look bad and that we would all turn against her, because he's a fucking freak and he doesn't understand and has never experienced love. That's the thing that's so funny about this, is that none of us harbors any ill will for Casey. We understand that she was coerced to do this, and we care for her and we love her. And we know that she had made a difficult decision and an embarrassing decision to take care of her family. And nobody's mad about that. In fact, all of us are laughing. She outmaneuvered a multimillionaire. She outmaneuvered a millionaire, a middle-class woman who comes from very humble roots, parents who are disabled and rely upon her, who has a fragile financial situation, but has nonetheless crawled out of the bottom, bought herself a home, takes care of her family. She remodeled a home she purchased on stream, and she has managed to thrive through countless assaults from the right wing. She is without a doubt one of the strongest people I've ever known. I mean that. And as I said before, it's really just another example of the divine feminine crushing the demonic masculine incel dude. I hate his whole, it's Hassan's fault, I have to sue them. Well, if it's Hassan's fault, don't be a pussy, sue Hassan, bitch. But he won't. God, he's such a weak man. What a loser. Asmongold is threatening to go after her now. Oh no, Asmongold. It's classic misogynist abuser shit. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I don't even really like Casey, but she's going through that awful time because of this BS lawsuit. Nobody should be looking down at her because of that apology. Oh yeah, of course. And by the way, chat, this is who Ethan Klein aligns with. I want you to understand this. This is who Ethan Klein and Destiny align with, which is, it really is disgusting. They align with Asmongold because they're not real liberals. Liberalism is dead. I want you to understand this. There are no liberals anymore. The only people that even attempt to carry forth any of the so-called liberal values are in the social democratic left. There is no liberalism anymore. There are status quo defenders and opportunists, and there are fascists. There is no liberal anymore. Liberals have died. They died 50 years ago. They're gone. They died with Ronald Reagan. Nobody is a liberal anymore. They don't really believe in it, which is why, you know, people like Destiny, champions of liberalism online, are so chummy with Nick Fuentes and Asmongold and all these people, because Nazis, fascists, because they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything. It's just a performance. Drama Frogs came in hot in Hassan's chat, and they were literally nothing but empathy for Kaceytron. Yes, because Hassan, while I have my criticisms of him, overall is just a really good guy. I mean, like, come on. And the criticisms I have with him are things like, quite frankly, he watches Edgermentum and it makes everything he gets from Edgermentum makes him dumber. Like, unfortunately, I have to say, the only thing I really disagree with Hassan about is takes he takes from Edgermentum. I'm being completely honest. He really doesn't talk about it that much. What I'm really talking about is anybody who thinks centrists or moderates are better politicians than... Did you see this? I haven't brought it up before, but I think everyone needs to see what the views for Bashir's podcast look like. It legitimately makes me feel bad. Yeah, it makes you feel bad because you said he was a good politician and he sucks. And you're a fucking dumbass. And I said from day one, I actually watched Andy Bashir and he's got no charisma. He's like a Democrat version of Lindsey Graham. That's why he gets 97 views on his podcast. Because if you talk to an orphan from a Victorian era orphanage and fed them a meal of Andy Bashir, they'd be like, can I have the gruel back? It has more flavor. And all of Edgermentum's efforts of like trashing AOC have just been completely disproven and completely debunked. And they're just completely wrong, pretty much in almost every way. I think the only point that people make about AOC is that she's a bit cringe. But so fucking what? So is Zoran. People want... Cringe is back. People want... And millennials, by the way, our viewpoints, our values are going to start to become more and more ascendant. Sorry, everybody, you're about to live in millennial cringe ascendancy. Zoran isn't cringe. Yes, he is. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Cringe is not bad. Cringe is good. I think one of the things that I don't like if I had one criticism of the Chapo group, is that they're so worried of being not hip. Like, they're so scared they're not hip anymore. And it's like, I guess I was already over that when I started streaming and I was 35. I was like, I'm not hip anymore. I don't understand roadblocks. I'm not going to understand it. I'm just going, I'm not hip. I'm okay with that. But a lot of these people, they're so worried about being hip. I think it's a younger millennial thing. I think maybe I'm just too old. Stop being a cop and let folks be cringe. Exactly. Everything's cool. Everything that's fucking cool as hell is because somebody was cringe and hyper fixated on it. You think somebody like becomes a really good dancer without being cringely hyper fixated on it for a very long time? You think somebody becomes a really good artist without drawing really embarrassing anime like fan art? Do you think anybody, like, you know what I mean? Like, people are not born fully matured artists. Cringe is step one, and everybody's scared of being caught as a novice. I went bowling the other day and I got like 100 and I was like, yes, but I wouldn't want that video of me and my gutter balls on the fucking internet, but I had fun. You know what I mean? And the one thing I would say about this is, like, Asmongold and Ethan Klein will never leave their house because their entire world is the internet. Whereas Hassan's world is like, I'm on the internet a lot. Hassan's on the internet. We're always online. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. We're always online, but we also are trying to do more. We're also trying to do more. They're not. Did you catch any of Hassan's amazing revolutionary tour of Dublin? Unfortunately, I didn't. I haven't been able to watch as many of his streams lately.
When we first came into Ireland, when we landed, Irish is mandated on all of the signs.
Sure.
The Irish language. And yet I was asking around, and a lot of the young kids, like, they don't know how to speak it. They They barely know how to read it.
Look, the language is so important because what the imperialists tried to do is destroy the language, tell you that what you speak is backwards, your poetry is backwards and foolish. It was Pierce who said, Tirgan Chonga, Tirgan Anam, a country without a language is a country without a soul. And what did they do when they went to America and to Australia? They destroyed the language and the culture and made people speak the common language of English, which, you know, it's great that we can communicate, you and me, all right, but it's also important that we try our best to hang on to our language, because if we lose the language, we lose everything.
I know only a little bit. I know that...
I mean, he's right, dude. He's kind of right.
Is it Slancha? And then I know Chucky Arla. That's all. Our time will come and cheers.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. When we first came into Ireland,
his vlog in Ireland might be my favorite. I love the accents, the bad baseness of the people, the community that seems to exist between people. Yeah, well, they're just neoliberalism has always tried to destroy that. Remember, this is what they want you to live like. This is the world they want you to be in. Hold on, where the fuck is it? Did I lose it? Oh, here it is. This is the world they want you to live in. Are you ready? This is, oh, by the way, I have a hype trade. Thank you everybody for gifting and everything and resubscribing. You guys are the best. This is what they want you to live in. This is who they want you to listen to. Are you ready?
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic.
Which is, by the way, true. He is a racist. He is a bigot. He is a xenophobic. He is Islamophobic. That's just a fact. By the way, chat, I want you to know that I'm in favor of whatever it takes. I support anybody who gets Asmongold the help he clearly needs. First of all, nobody should be allowed to live like Asmongold. I want you to understand that. Nobody should be allowed to have a home that is full of pests and is spewing it out in their community. I would condemn that house. His neighbors should not have to have rats and cockroaches constantly going into their house because they live in Asmongold's. Asmongold's house should be condemned. And it should be demolished. It's not savable. But he lives in Texas where they don't have any government. So your neighbors can live like Asmongold. And if you have bad luck, you could end up with a rat infestation and a cockroach infestation that's just colonizing from Asmongold 24/7. Can you imagine what it would be like to live next to this fucking disgusting? God, I wonder what his yard looks like.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic.
Wait. Did somebody try to say something? Mike, why would Casey lie? Casey was forced to say a statement written by Ethan Klein because she was worried she might have too much legal expenses and it might imperil her ability to pay her mortgage. Like, it's not that complicated. Are you rich? Send me, like, if I sued you and I could afford to sue you, I could take all your shit because you couldn't defend yourself. You'd have to run and hope that strangers helped you. Now, unlike you don't have anyone depending on you. Unlike Kaceytron, you don't have anyone depending upon you.
Whoever runs a campaign on taking parasites like this and kicking them out of our fucking country, I will vote for them. I am so sick of these clowns that come here from foreign fucking countries, advocate for their own foreign fucking problems here, and then they call us racist when we say, what about America? This is...
Bro, you support spending billions of dollars on wars in Venezuela and Israel, you fucking worm. You're trying to cut taxes for the very rich, you worm. Now, you can say all you want about, oh, I actually support Medicare for all. I actually support, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Donald Trump just took away food stamps for 2 months from millions of people. Your family used to rely on welfare. You're a sponger. What are you talking about? America first. You don't believe in America first. You don't believe in shit.
Outrageous. This is an insult. There's no such... Islamophobia is a made-up word that's invented to stop criticism of Islam. Phobia. Islamophobia. Get the fuck out of here.
We know that he called African nations a shithole.
Because they are. They are shitholes. What are you talking about? You can see piles of bodies in satellites in the Sudan.
That's American foreign policy. Our ally. In the United Arab Emirates, what, you think the United Arab Emirates emerged spontaneously from history? No, it was American and European imperialism forcing this a corrupt group of families in control of oil supplies. And now they're funding a fucking Islamist death squad. That's America cooing, assassinating. You cried tears of blood because some dipshit incel took a shot at Trump and he was a Republican. Imagine if he had hit. Imagine if every single conservative they popped up was assassinated. That is what Africa has faced. It's so funny. That's American foreign policy. Oh, it's like, wow, look at all the bodies, that American foreign policy. Look at all the people we're killing. Doesn't that prove it's a shithole? This is one thing that is very important. This is what separates liberals from leftists. A real leftist understands that the only way to deal with somebody like Asmongold is to return the energy. It's not to try to appeal to him. There's nothing to appeal to. He doesn't believe in anything. He's a nihilist sadist. He hates his life. He hates human beings. He blames you for the fact that he doesn't have the willpower to take a shower or brush his teeth. I know he sits there and copes and goes like, I'm rebelling against society. He just doesn't have the willpower. He's ashamed of himself. He's full of shame. And he's bitter that not one person loves him. Not one person in the world loves him enough to take care of him. Not one. I'm going to be completely honest, chat. If I started living like a fucking Asmongold, like I wasn't taking showers, I wasn't cleaning my room, I wasn't doing my laundry, you know, I wasn't taking out the trash, you know what would happen? People that love me would take care of me. They'd go, hey, Mike, what's going on? They would clean up after me. They would do all these things. Now, I'm not saying this because I want them to. No, I don't want them to. It's shameful if they were to do that for me, but they would. Even with the incentive of millions of dollars, people don't love him enough to clean up his fucking room. We're talking about an hour, a couple, you know, every other week of just cleaning shit up, running a vacuum. Nobody loves him enough for that. No one in the world loves him. No one. That's why he's like this. He is like this. He turns this hate out. And he says, by the way, that Somalis are ruining Minnesota. That Somalis are ruining Minnesota or Minneapolis. Here is an article from the BBC from this summer. Why Minneapolis is one of the world's happiest places. I was told it was burned down in the George Floyd uprisings, right? Minneapolis ranked above the world's happiest cities for 2025. Locals say the secret lies in its Nordic roots, creative energy, and community spirit that bring all-season joy. Minneapolis is the only U.S. city aside from New York City to earn a gold happiest city designations. Like, this is the reality. It ranks highest in environment, measuring green spaces, pollution, and overall sustainability. Whether it's walking or cycling, the trails give residents easy access to the city's abundant park system, clocking in at 22 lakes and 180 parks. It was also a standout in the economic category, ranking 4th of all measured cities in the index for its strong growth, reasonable cost of living, innovation, and prioritization of education. A quarter of residents hold a master's degree, and 1 in 5 people speak a second language. The welcoming nature of the people and policies mean that anyone can come or here or live here and feel at home. The Rise and Remember Festival is held every May in remembrance of George Floyd. The reality is that places like that elect Ilhan Omar are happy and diverse, and it works. Places that like Trump, the more an area likes Trump, the bigger of a shithole it is. This is objectively true. The poorest, most backward, most economically unproductive, the most opioid addicted places, the most racist, the most xenophobic, the most hateful, they vote for Donald Trump. That's just a fact. Now, I want to build a society where those people are included. Asmongold wants to build a society where those people are catered to and babied. Pathetic.
That's a shithole. It is. It's a shithole. Like, what are we talking about? Are we going to pretend like it's not?
Nation's a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And
he said that he stopped Muslim immigration from 7 countries at the beginning of his first presidency.
No, he said, you dumb piece of shit. He said he was going to stop it from all Muslim countries, which is a violation of the First Amendment, because the First Amendment says we have freedom of religion. And that included, from the very beginning, Islam. When the United States fought a war against the Barbary states and we signed a treaty with them, we said we are not a Christian nation and we would welcome, at the time, they called them Mohammedans. It was an insult. That just means followers of Muhammad. Like, it is, in fact, being diverse, so-called, is probably the only idea that sets America apart. The fact that in our Constitution, it was founded in the 1700s, which back then was a radical lefty position, that everybody would have freedom of conscience. Jew, Gentile, Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, atheist. The fact that we deist, the fact that we allowed that was a radical left position at the time. Now, our country is now backward because we still have the same Constitution that we wrote in the early 19th century. So now we're now backward compared to the rest of the world. But at the time, what made America strong was that tolerance of diversity. That's what brought people here. People came here who were in minority sects and religions, and they said, I'm fleeing the religious wars and bigotry of Europe, the absolutism of Europe, and I'm coming here to practice what I believe and live and let live with my neighbors. That's the whole fucking point. That's the one redeeming idea of America. That's the only source of its strength, literally, is because whether people like Asmongold understood it, and by the way, there's been people like Asmongold for centuries in America. They were called know-nothings, literally. The know-nothings. Look it up. The know-nothings, they argued against Catholic immigration. You better not bring any of those fucking Irish. You better not bring any of those fucking Italians. You better not bring any of these French or Spaniards into this country. They're fucking, or the German Catholics. Ew, the Bavarian Ew. Now, Lutherans maybe will tolerate those. Bavarians, Austrians, Italians, Swiss, ew. That's what the know-nothings were against. How many of you would say that Swiss people aren't white? How many of you would say that Bavarians are not white? How many of you would say Spaniards are? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would. How many of you would say Irish are not white? That's what the know-nothings were against. I'm pretty sure you could say, without a doubt, that it was to America's advantage that people from all sorts of nations could come here and make themselves a life, right? Like, that's why America's a superpower. If we had cut off German immigration to America and only relied on Scots and English, America would be less than Canada as far as a settler project. It's almost like if you're against America, you should want people like Asmongold to have their way, because that's what would collapse America. You want America to lose to China? Shut off immigration. I'm not white, and I don't see Turks as white, LOL, but all those you mentioned are white, because you're catching an idea, which is that whiteness is fucking made up. It expands exactly as much as it needs to in order to counter blackness, which is the only category that we have created that has any connection to material reality. Whiteness is just floating around as a political category.
Got denied, by the way, and there are more than 7 Muslim countries in the world. There's like 50 something. What are you even talking about?
So it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim.
Of course, right? It's not because of the fraud. It's not because of the welfare levels. It's not because of anything else. It's actually because you're black.
By the way, chat, what's very funny is, of course, you're a welfare user. You are a welfare user. You are a welfare user. How the fuck do you begrudge anyone else? You're white. You grew up here. You had every advantage. Like, you were raised in the culture and the language, and you still needed welfare. How the fuck do you talk? How the fuck do you talk? It's fucking crazy. Like, he is, and by the way, when you watch him play video games, this is also true. He was born on recruit difficulty, and he couldn't pass the tutorial. And if you watch him play video games, you see that often. He can't do it. In his chosen hyperfixation, he can't win video games. It's actually crazy. Is that nerd music something he adds in while streaming to sound epic? I think he just plays music.
See, this is what people like this do, is that they constantly go and they fix.
He copyright infringes artists and he plays their music on as background noise in his stream without compensation. And, you know, he plays like Skyrim music and shit. Bethesda should sue his ass. I mean, if we made it a big deal that he was saying racist shit over their music, and it became kind of a, if it became, like, I don't want to do this because I don't want I don't want companies to feel like they have to constantly be doing copyright infringement lawsuits against us, which is why I haven't done this, because I'm against creating a space that sucks. I like streaming. I like freedom of speech. I don't like our copyright. Even though I'm somebody who doesn't violate copyright on creative work like these people do, I still don't want to live in a world where there's so many, you know, copyright lawsuits happening all the time. I think that fucking sucks. When he was complaining about how hard the DLC bosses in Elden Ring were, Caroline was beating them. Bro, somebody make a supercut. Somebody make a supercut of Caroline beating a boss that he quits on. Please, please, please do it. Please, please. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to rope Caroline into like some drama with him. Never mind. It's not fair of me to do that. It's not fair of me to do that. Never mind.
On identity. The fact is that nobody would be saying this if these people were contributing members of society. Nobody would be saying, some people would be saying it, but I wouldn't be saying it. The fact is that these people come to the country, they live off of our benefits, they are net negatives to the country, and we are subsidizing their lifestyle so they can live here and complain about it. It's ridiculous. This is a ridiculous insult to the country, and no other country in the world should ever expect to put up with this. You would never get away with this in China. You wouldn't get away with this probably in Japan even. You wouldn't get away with this in Saudi Arabia. You wouldn't get away with this in Russia. You wouldn't get away with this in, like, I mean, there's probably some European countries you would, because they have the same problem that we do. But in a general sense, a lot of these countries, like you go to Vietnam, you wouldn't get away with this.
African immigrants are more educated than most, including people born in the U.S. While many are refugees, large numbers of beneficiaries of the diversity visa program aimed at boosting immigration from underrepresented nations, and on average, African immigrants are better educated than people born in the U.S. or the immigrant population as a whole. It's just so funny how everything he says I could refute in like 2 seconds.
This is outrageous. The level of entitlement that these people have is just unbelievable.
And by the way, this is what it's all about, which is to create a perception of some sort of like undeserved entitlement, right? Bro, you're a fucking welfare sponger. That's you, bitch. That's you. You feel entitled to not be criticized, you fucking whiny bitch. And by the way, a citizen is a citizen. They get to say what the fuck they want about this country. I want people to criticize this country because I don't know if you know this. I know you never leave your rat-infested room, so maybe you don't know this, but this country is falling apart, you fucking dumbass, and needs criticism more than ever. You love it or leave it, idiots. You basement-dwelling worms. The treats are gonna get cut off because the country is collapsing, you fucking dummy.
It's crazy.
But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says...
For now.
As we are nationals of this country, we love...
Yeah.
By the way, anybody who wants to strip nationality from anyone should have their nationality stripped. I think if you're an advocate for trying to strip somebody's naturalization, your nationality should be stripped. That's what I think. I think Asmongold, we need to be investigating his family. How'd they come here? I want to get into the fucking archives. I want to see, how did Asmongold's country get into the United States? I want to make sure there was not one person in his bloodline that committed immigration fraud. We need we need to apply whatever fucking shit he's trying to apply to Ilhan Omar, to him. That's what I advocate for. He said he came from Germany. He doesn't know anything about his fucking history. He doesn't know anything about his family's fucking history. And you know, a lot of the Germans who came to America were leftists. They were leftist complainers because there were revolutions in 1848. I don't know if you know this, chat, but Europe was convulsed by revolutions because there were all sorts of leftists trying to overturn feudalism and monarchies. And so a lot of the Germans that came to America were literally leftists because some of the revolutions failed. And the Germans that came to America, they were oftentimes anti-slavery. For example, in Texas, there was a large population of abolitionist Germans who opposed secession from the United States. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's who Asmongold is. Ironically, if Asmongold's family came from the places he's saying and came when he says they came, it's very likely they were Ilhan Omar-like immigrants to America at the time. They were probably anti-slavery, left-wing Germans. His ancestors are spitting in their fucking graves. If you want to know more about this, this is why history is interesting. They're called 48ers. 48ers were Europeans who participated in or supported the revolutions of 1848 that swept Europe, particularly those who were expelled from or immigrated from their native land after those revolutions. And the German Confederation, the 48ers favored unification in Germany, a more democratic government, and guarantees of human rights. Although many Americans were sympathetic to their cause and saddened by their defeat, many 48ers were free thinkers who were more influenced by the post-1789 republicanism in France and the anti-religious ideas of the Enlightenment than by the U.S. Constitution. In particular, their traditional hostility toward tolerating religious practice or classical Christian education often put them at odds with American Republicans' belief in freedom of religion and independence of religious institutions from the control of the state. Disappointed at their failure to permanently change the system of government in German states or the Austrian Empire, and sometimes ordered by local governments to immigrate because of their involvement in revolution, they gave up their old lives to live abroad. They immigrated to Australia, Brazil, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States. They included Germans, Czechs, Hungarians, and Italians, among many others. They were respected, politically active, wealthy, well-educated, and found success in their new countries. It's almost like Ilhan Omar, exactly. It's almost like Ilhan Omar, exactly. Galveston, Texas. Hey chat, where is Asmongold from? Where's Asmongold? Galveston, Texas was a port of entry to many 48ers. Some settled there in Houston, and then many went into the Texas Hill Country, the vicinity of Fredericksburg. Due to their liberal ideals, they strongly opposed Texas's secession in 1861. In the Belleville area of Austin County, another designation for 48ers, the German precincts voted decisively against secession. It's very likely that Asmongold's ancestors were woke anti-racists, and he is a pathetic fucking worm. His ancestors probably would look like Ilhan Omar on steroids. He's a shame to his own people. He's an immigrant. He's an entitled immigrant. And I think we should strip his citizenship, because those damn entitled immigrants think they can change America's values around freedom of speech.
That Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have
Big mistake, by the way. Should have never made them citizens.
not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
By the way, chat, big mistake. Let's take a look at the evidence. Oh, it's the happiest city in America. Oh, big mistake. How's Texas? How happy are Texans? Under half of Americans are very satisfied with their lives. It may seem like a simple question, but many factors, both internal and external, could affect an individual's level of happiness. While most people have agency over internal factors like spending time with the people they love and doing activities they enjoy, they have far less control over external factors like cost of living crisis or the stress of an election year. Texas ranks 39th for happiest residents. In this ranking, Minnesota, the state where Minneapolis is 6th. Hey, chat. Let's take a look at the reddest states in America. Louisiana, 50th. Arkansas, 49th. Tennessee, 47. Alabama, 44. Mississippi, 42. West Virginia, 48. That's like one of the whitest states. Kentucky, 41. Man, it's almost like being a red state kind of sucks. Happiest state in this listing is Hawaii, Maryland, New Jersey. Utah is the only red state that's happy. Delaware, Minnesota, Connecticut, and then Idaho, Nebraska, Massachusetts. Massachusetts knocked down because of environment sucking. So Texans are 39th happiest residents. I think we should make our country more like Minneapolis. He thinks we should make it more like Texas.
Just undo it. Just undo it. Yeah, that's it. Well, free handouts, deport them. Yep, doesn't matter to me. Absolutely. She might be the worst. Yeah, I think so. And settled in Minnesota, so they're settlers? I guess so, right? And because you had the best benefits? Yeah, of course, because Minnesota's giving them money. And it's very fucking obvious, isn't it? I mean, I feel like that's clearly what's happening. And anyone can be a citizen now, a way to devalue it. I mean, it's not really about that. It's just about a general sense of these people coming into the country and then being a drain on the country. Like, it's literally that simple. So, yeah.
If we went after drains on the country, you would be ripped out of your cesspit rat hole in 5 minutes. You degenerate. You don't have a job. You don't. You can't. Like, you're setting pests into your community. Under any under any system where people investigate people as drains, you'd be ripped out. You'd be. You should be out there sweeping the streets, man. How much money would it take for you to lick his armpit? There's no amount of money for me to do anything nice to Asmongold. And I mean that. There's no amount of money that would make me do something nice for Asmongold. Nothing.
People try to turn this into a race and a religious thing, and I'm sure for some people it is, but for me it's not. It's you're coming in here, you don't like the country, you want to change everything, you want it to be more like the shithole you came from, and it is a shithole, by the way. It's absolutely a shithole. You don't even have Google Maps on there. Like, it's a fucking PvP server. And now you come here and you bring the same ideology, the same shit here, and people do a protest in Michigan and they're getting assaulted. It's crazy. I don't know what, like, I hate these people, bro. I really do. Like, they come to...
Wow, dude. Again, I've listened to 5 minutes of him talking and there's not one point. Meanwhile, when I look at anything that he says, I immediately refute it. African immigrants are more educated than native-born Americans. Minneapolis is the most happy city in America. Minnesota is one of the happiest states. Texas is one of the most unhappy. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You don't have a single point. You're dumb. You're a dumb fuck. You're a dummy. You're stupid. And the reason why you hate people is because everyone rejects you. This is what it really comes down to. The reason why Asmongold feels the way he feels is because no one loves him and they never will. He's unloved.
Our country and do this shit. And then they call us racist as if the problem is your skin color. No, it's what you're doing.
What she's doing is advocating for Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, free college, raising the minimum wage, unions for everybody who has work, cleaning up our environment, safe streets, good public transit, housing as a human right. In other words, this rich idiot who doesn't even spend his money. Like, chat, every dollar we take from Asmongold in taxes is money that's better spent. I don't care what it gets spent on. I don't care if it just gets stolen and handed over to a homeless person to buy alcohol with. At least it's out of his pocket. That's where money goes to die. Any money that goes to Asmongold is a utility destroyer because he can't use it to make anybody happy or use it in any useful way. We should be taxing Asmongold at 100%.
Outrageous. The level of manipulation. And I'm glad to see that very few people are still buying into the racism wool over their eyes. Oh, well, we're not going to listen to this. And it's not that bad. No, man. Like, nobody gives a shit about that word anymore. It's so obnoxious. Aren't they racist too, though? Of course they're racist. They're absolutely racist.
So Donald Trump has basically made his administration the Asmongoldian administration. How's that working out? Trump's approval rating drops to 36%, new second-term low. President Donald Trump's job approval rating has fallen 5 percentage points to 36%, the lowest of his second term, while disapproval has risen to 60%. The latest decline follows 3 months of stability, with 40% to 41% of Americans expressing approval of his handling of this presidency. His prior second-term low point was a statistically similar 37% in July, and his all-time low was 34% in 2021 at the end of his first term after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. We're not even in a recession. We're not even in a recession because they keep deleting all the data and the information. Asmongold, I'm so glad you posted this because it gave me something to laugh at because of how illiterate, stupid, out of touch you are. You fucking shut-in millionaire loser. 32 gigabytes of RAM are selling for $400. What? Remember when you could get that for like $50? Remember when there was like too much RAM, chat, and you could get it for like $50? According to the USDA, the states that use the most welfare are red states Louisiana, Oklahoma, Minnesota is at the bottom of the percent of population receiving SNAP benefits in the fiscal year of 2024. And remember, chat, it's much, much harder to get welfare in southern states. They like make it much more difficult. Look at, I bought these in the last year for $121. Oh my God. Has my computer gone up in value since I bought it? That's crazy. I mean, I have a 4090 and I have 64 gigs of RAM. So I think it might have gone up. Damn, why? Because it's a work computer is the answer to that. So I might as well spend as much money on it as I can. It's all coming off my taxes anyway. I might as well spend it all on my work shit. Of the three, wait, why are they leaving? Why are they quitting? The prices are insane. I was told that the prices going up would mean more profit. What happened? Micron Technology, a leader in innovative memory and storage solutions, today announced its decision to exit the crucial consumer business, including consumer-branded products at retailers, e-tailers, and distributors worldwide. They're quitting consumer RAM so they can make more AI shit? Crucial is shutting down because Micron wants to sell its RAM and SSDs to AI companies instead. Micron is retiring the Crucial brand, marking the end of its line of budget-friendly solid-state drives and RAM kits. Micron says winding down its consumer-focused business will improve supply and support for larger strategic customers and faster-growing segments, aka AI companies. Capitalism, man. And it's all a bubble. It's all money based off of, like, they didn't like make profit and then invest it. This is all borrowed money from a bubble on Wall Street. People borrowing against stock prices going up. Has anybody actually shown me anything that AI is doing that is improving? Is it actually? Can someone show me where it's measurably making our lives better as the human race? Can someone please explain where AI is doing shit that's actually making things better? It will delete your hard drive in record time. Google's agentic AI wipes users' entire HDD without permission in catastrophic failure. Cache wipe turns into mass deletion event. An agent apologized. I am absolutely devastated to hear this. I cannot express how sorry I am. They're just doing predictive text. They're just doing predictive text. They don't feel anything. They're not real. They don't feel anything. They must have learned from YouTube videos of Ethan Klein and apologizing to all the people he lost lawsuits to. The funniest part is you cannot eliminate hallucinations from AI models. They will always be there no matter what because it's a prediction engine. U.S. credit rejection rates are surging, highest level since records began. Oh, this is fine. I'm sure this is fine. Wait, what happened with RAM?
RAM prices are skyrocketing right now. Let's see how that's going to work out for consumers. Heads, consumers lose. Tails, manufacturers win. Consumers lose. It's heads. In some of our price checks today, we found memory kits increasing by 169%, 116%, 181%, and similar. By hard dollar amounts, some of these have gone up by hundreds of dollars for kits of 32 gigabytes in a span of just 1 to 2 months. Higher capacities have gone up by $400 or $500 in some cases. At one point, we observed a 1% increase per day for 13 days. There's even new reports showing that these recent price increases are to blame for NVIDIA's potentially delayed unannounced Super Series refresh, with worries that the company will prioritize denser GDDR7 modules for workstation GPUs. Prices are skyrocketing due to a combination of things that we're looking into today. These include data center demand, suppliers understocking due to previous oversupply, and other factors that we'll explore. Something else to put on your radar is that NAND flash for SSDs will also go up, or continue to go up anyway, as enterprise demand ramps and as they compete for inventory. Historically, the DRAM market follows about a 4-year pricing cycle. It's kind of like our industry's version of Roman mythology, where we're just begging the 3 DRAM gods to bless us this given month with good DRAM prices for consumers. But unfortunately, the mythological pantheon of Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron only listens to the prayers of the companies that buy from them, not the consumers. So server demand is fundamentally altering the traditional nature of this market, which means that the DRAM industry is exiting that roughly 4-year cycle of memory pricing, and it's remaining elevated for longer than typical. For example, in OpenAI's partnership announcement with Samsung and SK Hynix as part of its Stargate project, the company stated it was, quote, targeting 900,000 wafer starts per month. Tom's Hardware reported that this, quote, represents around 40% of the total DRAM output, end quote, and that's globally. Suppliers have also begun doing the thing that they've been doing in GPUs, on the NVIDIA side, for example, for a while now, or on CPU side, sort of, with Epic CPUs as opposed to Ryzen Desktop, although that's a much better market for us consumers than.
That's all I wanted to hear. So the last 2 months, RAM prices have exploded. And China's probably going to start making RAM, but you're not going to be allowed to buy it in America because, we're going to put tariffs on everything. So everybody's going to be like, they're going to be like flying to Europe, buying a bunch of RAM, putting it in their computer, and then like flying home and being like, I wonder if they're going to do like RAM checks. Like, all right, so you're leaving your computer. Let us test how much RAM you have in it. Okay, it looks like you have 60 gigs of RAM. And when you fly the country, they're like, RAM check on your laptop. Up, sir. He has 64 gigs. He had 60 when he left. We've got a RAM smuggler. We got a RAM smuggler here. Everybody arrest this RAM smuggler. We've got the RAM smuggler. People are going to start stealing RAM out of computers. Did you hear about Yasser Abu Shabib? Hold on, chat. I think we did hear something about that. Let me find the announcement here. Oh, anyway. Let's keep going. So this is basically what's going on. I've been talking about this for a long time. It's been known as the donut economy, but now it's starting to transition to the K-shape economy. So the donut economy was that the like middle income group was failing, but the economy was serving like kind of low tier consumers, like poorer consumers, like Dollar General users and things, and Walmart. But like the middle income retailers were all failing. So your Macy's, your Toys R Us, like all that, like, Best Buys, Radio Shack, like middle income, middle brow retail was all dying out. And people were either going to Gucci or they were going to fucking, a Walmart. And we called that the donut economy. We're now transitioning to what's known as the K-shape economy, which is the people in the top 10%, the top 5%, they're doing amazingly well because they own assets and asset prices are inflating like crazy. Well, everyone else is fucked. Everyone else is completely fucked. That's the economy.
Financial commentators love letter-based analogies. As you might remember, during the pandemic, everyone was hoping for a so-called V-shaped recovery, with the economy swapping back to pre-pandemic strength, instead of, say, a U-shaped recession, where things take a bit longer, or even a dreaded L-shaped recession, where the recovery never really happens. More recently, however, there's been a lot of talk about America's allegedly K-shaped economy, defined by a growing inequality between the haves and have-nots. So, in this video, we thought we'd take a look at this idea and try our best to figure out whether the US economy really is K-shaped, or if we've all just been suckered in by a dangerously cute letter-based analogy.
Yes, Davo Pavo, we're fucked.
We've just released a new coffee table book called Assembly Required, which runs through the stories behind some of the world's... Find out. So, what do we actually mean by a K-shaped economy? Well, the basic idea is pretty simple. It's an economy where the rich are getting richer, hence the top line of the K going up, while the poor are getting poorer, hence the bottom line of the K going down. The term was really popularised after the pandemic by an economist called Peter Atwater, who noticed a post-pandemic divergence in sentiment between rich and poor Americans. However, it popped back into the headlines a couple of months ago when, in their quarterly reports, a number of big US corporations noted a divergence in consumer behaviour. High-income consumers were continuing to spend, but middle and low-income consumers were paring back. McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski, for instance, said Mackey's was seeing a, quote, bifurcated consumer base, with traffic from lower-income consumers declining nearly double digits in the third quarter, while growing by roughly the same amount among higher-income consumers. Chipotle's CEO said he was seeing something similar, and Coca-Cola's COO said its new mini cans, which you can now buy as single units in the US, were about trying to reach these poorer consumers who were tightening their belts. This idea of a K-shaped economy has since become popular, both because it apparently chimes with the experience of many ordinary Americans who feel like, whatever the headline numbers say, the US economy is pretty rubbish for anyone except the rich right now, also because it explains some of the apparent contradictions we're seeing in the US data right now. Why consumer sentiment, for instance, is at rock bottom, even as consumer spending keeps coming in above forecast. So that's the idea, but is it actually true? Well, if you just look at the headline numbers, it doesn't really look like it. The US has always been a remarkably unequal country, but it hasn't become much more unequal in recent months or years. According to Federal Reserve data, for instance, wealth inequality in the US hasn't really changed since the pandemic. In fact, the top 0.1% and bottom 90% have all seen their share of national wealth slightly increase in the past 5 years, at the expense of the top 10%. It's a similar story if you look at income rather than wealth. Again, the US has always had a remarkably unequal income distribution. The most common measure of income inequality is the so-called Gini coefficient, which runs from 0, a perfectly equal distribution of income, to 1, a maximally unequal distribution of income, with everyone earning 0 apart from one person who's earning it all. According to the most recent World Bank data for 2023, the US had a Gini coefficient of 41.8, by far the highest in the G7 and the highest in the OECD apart from Costa Rica, Chile, Mexico and Turkey. But this isn't new. Save for a brief dip after 2008 and the pandemic, America's Gini coefficient has hovered between 41 and 42 for the past 20 years. Furthermore, while the World Bank doesn't have data for 2024 or 2025, distributional income data from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta suggests America's Gini coefficient basically hasn't really changed in the past 2 years. To be clear, we're not saying this is a good thing. Rather, we're saying that the US has always been an incredibly unequal country, and, according to headline figures, it hasn't become much more unequal in recent times, which is what the K-shaped analogy implies. However, that's not to say all this talk of a K-shaped economy is merely catchy nonsense. If you dig into the data a bit more, you can see the occasional K-shape, most obviously in the labour market. Only a couple of years ago, the US labour market was great for lower workers. A post-pandemic hiring spree meant lots of jobs and remarkably strong wage growth for low-income workers, especially if they moved jobs. However, in the past couple of months, that's all changed. The US is now stuck in what's sometimes known as a low-hiring, low-firing jobs market. The low-firing bit has kept the unemployment rate low, but the low-hiring bit has meant weaker wage growth, especially for the poorest quartile of workers, who are now seeing lower wage growth than everyone else, and meant that most workers are now better off sticking it out in their current job rather than quitting in the hope of finding a better salary elsewhere. That the worst paid workers are now seeing weaker wage growth than their better paid counterparts for the first time since really 2015 does seem pretty K-shaped. You can also see a K-shape if you look at asset prices. The two big asset classes for most Americans are property and stocks. As you probably already know, the US stock market has done pretty well recently, with the S&P 500 rising by 16% in the year to date, at least at the time of writing, and 84% in the past 5 years. But property's also done pretty well in the past couple of years, with US house prices rising by more than 50% since 2020. This has all been great news for people who own either stocks or property, but pretty terrible news for anyone who doesn't, especially because wages have only grown by about 30% in the same time. Things look even worse when you factor in inflation. Prices have risen by 25% in the past 5 years, which means that real wages have been essentially flat, while asset holders have continued to enjoy a real terms increase in their wealth. This creates a sort of K-shape between people who own assets, which have appreciated markedly, and those who don't, who've had most of their wage growth wiped out by inflation. This isn't quite the same as a divide between rich and poor. Quite a lot of poor people, for instance, own their own homes, especially older generations, but it can make the economy feel pretty K-shaped for those.
Yeah, well, he's wrong because of all the ways to get access to wealth, what we call a HLOC, which is a home equity line of credit, HELOC rather, is very easy to get. So if your house doubles in price, you have access to that money. You have access to that money. You could just go to a bank and be like, hey, can I get a line of credit on my mortgage? So if you buy a house for $70,000 and it's now worth 1.5 million, you have access to that 1.5 million while you continue to live in the house. In fact, this is how most boomers are making ends meet. Most boomers are making ends meet because they have access to the home equity line of credit. They get to buy whatever they fucking want. And then when they die, you know, the house gets sold, pays off their debts, and they have nothing for their family, nothing left over. In the past, when family members would die, they would leave homes that were to their relatives, right? They would have a legacy. Now, because boomers have access to things like reverse mortgages and HELOCs, all of their legacy is being consumed. And so when they die, nothing is being left to the next generation. Really amazing generation. We really like them. Did you cover that Joel and Jake won their elections at a landslide? Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, but we might mention it again today during hype building periods.
Don't. Ultimately, perhaps the most acute K-shape in the US at the moment is about prospects. Rich Americans are looking forward to solid wage growth and strong asset appreciation, while
somebody
poorer
said you still need to get approved if your job is standard, situation isn't standard, it could be hung up in purgatory. Absolute worst case scenario. Say you can't get access to credit. If you have $1 million, first of all, you have $1 million in equity, you're getting access to it. But let's say that you had to sell your house. Well, if you're married, the first $500,000 of appreciation is tax-free. And if you've owned your home for more than a year, you have access to long-term capital gains tax, which I think was recently lowered to, what is it now, 15%? Or is it lower? Capital gains rate. It's $20,000. Excuse me. It's 20% if you make over $600,000 filing jointly. It's 15% if you make less than $600,000 filing jointly. And it's 0% if you make less than $96,000. So if you make less than $96,000 a year and you sell your house for a capital gain of $1 million, well, I mean, that would put you in the 20% bracket. But you get my point. The first $500,000 is tax free, so that would be 15%. You would pay 15% on $500,000. Open presents. Holy shit! Thank you for the gifties. The following people in the chat: Crassy Knoll, Noostranaut, Big McLarge Huge, J3686, Glacier Glitter, and Mike 9317. Say thank you. You're in the chat. You got gifted a sub. Say thank you.
Less Americans, who only a couple of years ago were enjoying strong wage growth, their choice of job, and at least hope that rising interest rates would finally bring down property prices, are now looking at precarious employment with meagre real wage growth and ever-rising property prices. Now, that's quite a lot of information we've thrown your way, and that's after we've simplified it down for you. So you can only imagine how overwhelming it is to sift through the hundreds of outlets reporting on it online, find out what happened. Luckily for all of us, there's a website and app that collects all those articles and puts...
I consider ad segues to be bad. I have now come to the conclusion that ad segues are bad. Ads should be jarring. They should interfere. They should feel imposed because that's what they are. I think that ads should be like, they should interrupt you in the middle of what you're saying so somebody could force you to listen to some bullshit. Whenever you start integrating it into your content, I think it's bad. You should feel this is capitalism intruding on your shit to force you to listen to bullshit. I used to be like, oh, that's funny. They did a good ad segue. But now I'm like, nah, I hate it. I think it's intellectually dishonest. By the way, Chad, I don't know if you've seen this, but this Kalshi website is being like mass spammed everywhere. And I guess it's so people could gamble on events. CNN partners with Kalshi to integrate prediction markets into its global newsroom. The first major news network to embrace Kalshi prediction markets. A new era of media is here. I want to say this, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I used to be more libertarian in my attitude toward gambling, but I've completely flipped. I think we should arrest every one of these gambling fucking scumlord pieces of shit. Gambling being concentrated in like 2 cities in America was a good thing. Or you had to like fly across the country to gamble. That's a good thing. Now that it's in every fucking device, it's terrible. Gambling should be contained. Should we arrest people who profitably gamble on sports? Asking for a friend. I think my answer is to that I don't believe you, and I think you are being tricked. I don't actually believe that you are profitable. Unless you have a relationship with literal participants where you get inside information, which is how most profitable sports gamblers did it. They knew people and they got inside info. I don't think you're doing it. On Polymarket, you could bet on whether Gaza will be ethnically cleansed. There's a frog and boiling water element to this too. On Polymarket, you could bet on whether Gaza will be ethnically cleansed. On Kalshi, you could bet on whether there'll be famine in Gaza. The one that paid out for yes. That one paid out for yes, by the way. This is objectively depraved and should not be legal. But it's not only legal, but totally normalized and never commented on by anyone in our media. CNN, by partnering with Kalshi, is going to be reporting on the news while offering a chance to wager on these events on mass death, starvation, dispossession, and genocide. The fate of victims of an ongoing genocide, a genocide often supported and backed by the same investors and executives of these gambling apps, are just another chip on a roulette table. The total dehumanization of the billions of NPCs they wager on and fleece is complete and total. Someone should ask a CNN reps, now that they've partnered with Kalshi, if they will be offering betting markets on air that involve wagering on mass famine of populations experiencing genocide like Kalshi did a few months ago. Would love to hear their answer. I'm curious, forecaster Enton, since you're reportedly the point man on this, now that CNN will be featuring Kalshi gambling odds on world events, will CNN viewers get the whole Kalshi gambling odds suite, including betting odds on famine? Let's give voters a financial interest in the ongoing ruination. It's not voters that I'm concerned about. It is market movers. It is executives. It is decision makers. It creates agency problems because building something is a hell of a lot harder than destroying shit. And you're giving people a financial incentive to destroy shit. The co-founder of Kalshi.
Mark, you've mentioned multiple times that you think prediction markets will be bigger than the stock market. What is it going to take to become $1 trillion asset class?
It's pretty much already like a close to 100 billion a year asset class, right? Like it's pretty easy to imagine a 10x from here. Like we haven't even started. It's been a year. I think a very large number of people care, much larger than traditional markets. And I think retail as a pie has just been growing in the US, and I think it's going to keep growing. It's growing in the stock market, but it's growing outside of the stock market. The long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. And I think if you do build a general purpose exchange that can resolve differences of opinions on anything, like the TAM is quite massive.
I want you to understand something, chat, that this is without a doubt, I consider this person to be on par with Hitler. And I'm not saying that as hyperbole, I mean it. And the reason why I say that is because it comes right out of the Communist Manifesto. It comes right out of the Communist Manifesto. Everything is sacred is profaned. It's right out of the Communist Manifesto, right off of Marx's pen. There won't be a single thing left that isn't being bought and sold. And by the way, how you resolve whether a thing happened or didn't happen is not a trivial question. How are these guys, how could they possibly and accurately resolve these questions? Many of them are going to be unresolvable differences of opinion, and yet Kalshi is going to declare one side right and one side wrong. They're going to make themselves the arbiters of truth. That's why this is more dangerous than you could ever imagine. Who elected these fucking people?
Quite a bit bigger than the current TAM of the stock market. I think putting aside sort of the retail trading and the institutional trading product, like there's sort of this separate product, which is like, we are living in a world where like we have an abundance of information, but there's a lot of noise, and like we don't really understand what's real from what's not. And prediction markets are an antidote to that. They do a very, very good job at distilling information and serve.
No, they don't. They frequently get shit completely wrong. They're terrible at predicting elections. They flip back and forth during counts all the time. They're fucking garbage.
Interesting truth to people, and you're seeing this sort of massive shift where like people are using them whenever they think about questions about the future, you know, whenever they're debating about anything.
They thought Assad would get arrested by the end of October. So many people, complete garbage.
And I think that trajectory is going to keep going. That's a new consumer habit that I don't think is going to be undone.
America needs a cultural revolution. America needs a cultural revolution is really what it comes down to. Is we have to disregard the type of person that thinks this is the type of person who thinks this is a good thing needs to be separated from the rest of humanity right now. Like I mean that. I mean that.
Mark, you've mentioned multiple.
Disgusting. There's a frog and boiling water element in this too. On Polymarket, you could bet on whether. Okay, we read this one already. Trump's approval rating drops to 36%, a new second term low. Amazing. All right, let's watch Hassan actually reacting to these guys. I think he released his own version, so let's watch this one.
It's not what this guy did that's the problem. You understand that, right? The intent behind it is the major issue. The effort put into it is the problem. Wait, now I'm seeing the clip. Wait, he just muted it? Wait.
Yeah,
I don't have my phone with me. Can we just screen photo?
Here.
Yeah. Right. Hey, free Kaya. Free Kaya.
Oh my God, he muted it?
Jesus.
He muted me saying nice to meet you? Bro, that's so sad. It's just like, just show that he like came up to me and you know, celebrate it in and of itself. Why did you have to mute the part where I literally go, hey, nice to meet you, man?
Screen photo?
Here.
Yeah. Right. Hey, free Kaya. Free Kaya.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. I don't have my phone with me.
That is so funny. Yes, and everyone in every place you can think of copy pasted that. That is hilarious.
Ethan Klein had to edit the clip. He had to edit the clip.
They're like, no, I promise you he was really upset. I promise you he was so upset. Also, just randomly, the stream silences itself in this moment. Yeah, I said nice to meet you, and he goes, yeah, you too.
He was trembling. He was like, oh, guys, Hassan is near me. I'm gonna go get a clip. Guys, I'm right. Oh, there he is. Okay, guys, I printed it, guys. And then he sees Hassan. He's like, oh, wow, I'm such a big fan. I mean, free Kaya.
To make you look ashamed and embarrassed and stuff?
I'll tell you what, the power of social media. Nuts. I'm a bit blown away that people are coming out to say hello to you. Well, it's great. Like, it's deadly, you know. It's brilliant.
Part of the world it happens.
Yeah.
Why did he keep the rest of it? This is how it was posted on Reddit, to be fair. Also, I can't believe he posted this a f***ing hour ago. Like, this just happened. That means he is psychotically obsessed. Meanwhile, when Ethan goes outside, he starts yelling from the river to the sea a phrase he considers anti-Semitic when someone asks him to. Yeah, this is the guy who's like terrified of going outside because he thinks someone's gonna assassinate him. By the way,
does anybody have that clip?
He posted it minutes after the interaction. Does
anybody have that clip? Does anyone have the clip of Ethan Klein screaming river to the sea and then him saying that it's anti-Semitic on his stream? Somebody please make that. Come on. That would be amazing.
Sad. Well, I promise one day people will actually enjoy Ethan Klein. That will happen. It is funny though that they're like, oh yeah, the stuff that we do online, if we do in real life, it will work in the same exact way. And then it doesn't. So then they have to manipulate the footage to be like, no, actually he was quiet because he was so scared. And that's the reason why the stream audio cut out. It's like, no, it's a normal interaction. Yeah, I wonder how Ethan Klein would feel if he ever actually went out in public and people showed up to him. People rolled up to him and started screaming about how he was pro-Israel or how he killed his own dog by feeding it too much cheese.
Apparently, like, sodium is really bad for their kidney, and I never heard that. And I was giving Shredder like cheese. He loves cheese, and I was.
How much was he giving this dog? Dogs can eat cheese, no problem. How much was he giving?
Back again.
All right. Hey, look, we got a question for you.
Sure.
We already know what your answer is.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is your stance on Palestine?
I love it.
You love Palestine?
Yeah. Palestine.
You went to Israel though. You support Netanyahu.
No, I don't.
You don't support Netanyahu?
No.
Stop it, bro. She was in the IDF.
He voted against him.
You voted against him. What about Ben Gvir? How do you feel about Ben Gvir?
What about you? Did you vote against him? You're like, why do you say he voted against him? Did you?
Oh, I think he's insane. Yeah, he's a monster.
You think he's a monster?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I've said that. No, that guy sucks. I mean, he's worse than sucks.
All right, cool. So this is the final test, buddy. Get a free Palestine from me.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine?
Yeah.
From the river to the sea?
Yeah.
My man, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Free Palestine from the river to the sea. Every time Ethan Klein gets posted, we should post this. Because it's funny, not because he doesn't believe it and he's forced to say it. Because his already crumbling... If he said what he really believed about Palestinians, his crumbling fucking network would fall. When him and his wife post their dedications to Israeli fighter pilots illegally bombing Iran with, you know, with no United Nations Security Council resolution, just going and attacking a country that because they are giving American support. When they kill civilians on city streets, they were posting like dedications to female fighter pilots of Israel. But then in real life, meek as a lamb.
Always sprinkling cheese on his food. And I just wish to and I'm so pissed at the
Isn't
stupid
this a guy whose
vet.
kids eat poop? I don't think the kids eat. As far as I know, Ethan Klein's children have not eaten poop. He implied they did when he said they might have giardia, which you could only catch from ingesting contaminated fecal material. But it turned out, I think the test turned out that the children did not have giardia. So I don't think the Ethan Klein's children ate poop thing is necessarily true. He just said it on his stream. He explained the situation on his stream in such a way that people made that reasonable inference. But yes, his Reddit account is pedo troll, which he did write. He wrote stories about drowning children, his children or other children in a stream. And he talked about some other incredibly vile. They're not even really jokes.
It was on camera,
in my opinion.
and then I posted it on my Instagram story celebrating it. He probably have an aneurysm, right? I mean, I would never do that, for the record, and I certainly don't recommend doing that because I'm not a piece of shit. But just think for a moment how the guy who is terrified of going out in public would behave if someone came up to him and the interaction was like not that great. You know what I mean? You probably do 8 weeks of content. I was murdered. There's a hit out on me. They tried to assassinate me. Hassan Piker tried to murder me. He put a hit out on me. Hassan Piker tried to do an anti-Semitic hit out on me. He will say you encourage it by posting about it. Oh, no, for sure. Because this is, let's be real, this is an encouragement. It's like, it's signaling. Not that it matters. I don't really give a shit, you know? But it is pretty...
No. Yeah. So basically what Ethan Klein and Asmongold are trying to do, just so you guys understand, is by them posting this information and boosting it on their own accounts, they're trying to induce more ambitious sociopaths to try to like do stuff for to get attention, because the creator economy is the attention economy. So if you want to have a successful content creation career, you need people to be paying attention to you in the first place. So what Ethan Klein, Destiny, and Asmongold are saying is, if you violate Hassan, whether it's his rights or you insult him or you do something, you interfere with what he's doing, they'll boost it. Now, the reality is nobody gets successful from doing this shit. This only tricks idiots. It only tricks people that have no integrity, but also are very ambitious, but are stupid. So they don't understand that you're just being used by them. You're not going to build a career off of this, but they're trying to set up an incentive structure so people believe they could build something off of it. And you will not. You will not. And you're just being used by them because they're too cowardly to do anything themselves.
Pathetic to literally also alter the footage to make it seem like I was you know, to make it seem like it wasn't just like a normal ass interaction. Look at this.
Hey, free Kaya. Free Kaya.
Like, I can't believe they literally cut the part out where I was like, hey man, nice to meet you. And I laughed. And he said, yeah, you too. God, these guys are so lame. Not even the guy who came up to me, for the record. The guy who came up to me, I mean, sure, you could say he's a pussy because he hid his face or hid the photo, whatever. It's a troll, right? But at least he's like not so much of a pussy that he's out and about, like in the real world, right? But many of these online content creators are genuine, ginormous pussies. Like, they are afraid of their fans. They're afraid of their haters. They're afraid of going out in the real world. At least that guy is out in the real world, you know?
I don't leave the house. You don't have to go in the sun out here. That's true. You know what I mean?
Ethan doesn't even like to leave the house, so.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Love that. Love all you guys, man. I don't like really leave the house that much, so I don't leave the house usually. At least you can take your man skiing. Good luck getting me out of the house. I don't leave the house because I'm afraid you're gonna get icked. Me and do an ick. I stay indoors at all times. That's how hard it is being a man in today's society.
But the fact that these giant pussies who can't even go outside, who are scared of their own shadow, and behave as though they would be killed if they actually interacted with someone, and that interaction was like maybe a little uncomfortable. Where's Kaya? In West Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, chatter. I did not fly my wonderful 120-pound dog to Ireland on a 10-hour flight. Like, oh my God, this might be clip of the year.
Clip of the year. I think this could be it.
No, I think this is the clip of the year, chat. It's so based. God damn it, dude.
He's such a fucking loser. Guys, clip of the year, guys. Some guy woke up with a printed out meme, guys. Clip of the year, guys. It's base. Clip of the year. It's clip of the year, guys. I think one of the things that's really funny about Asmongold is it's like, really, there's no reason to ever watch this guy. Legitimately, there is no reason. I think, you know, I think one of the things that we really need is a stronger anti-bot system within Twitch. I think one of the things that's really, like, if I'm being honest, like, there's not a lot of incentive to counter botting, because if you counter botting, it makes your stream numbers go down, right? Like that, and that's for the site. So if they took out, you know, if they knock Asmongold down, or, you know, anybody who might be using bots, and in my opinion appears to be botting, because their viewership dropped dramatically in a couple of days when Twitch implemented a new anti-bot protocol. The viewership was really far down, and then they took long breaks until, I guess, the bot provider, I mean, maybe they just spontaneously decided to take long breaks during the period while bots were being countered more effectively. I think Twitch needs to just start banning people. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but if the majority of your viewership are bots, nobody's paying for that shit, right? Like, the idea that people are maliciously botting other people to raise their viewership is just not a thing. I'm beginning to worry the bot stuff online is cope. No, it's not. We've seen the analysis of their viewers, and they have, you know, I mean, there is a very notorious botter who, Hassan said it later in the video, 4 years ago, Twitch would perma Asmon for saying this. I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm glad Twitch is not handing out bans. I gotta be honest, as much as I think Asmongold should be banned because he's obviously violating TOS as written, while Trump and the Republicans have power, I'm glad Twitch is not handing out bans, because it would be biased against us. Them going neutral in this environment is actually the best thing for us, you know, because if they try to ban Asmongold, all that'll happen is that Trump will get involved. And until we have some sort of ability to check Trump's power, that's not good for us. The best thing for Twitch right now is to stay under the radar. And I think that is the calculation. And I think it's a correct calculation. Now, when woke rises again, and, you know, Donald Trump is in the 20th percentile of approval rating, which he's on the way to getting, and all these fuckers are trying to pretend how they're always woke or whatever. You know, when XQC is saying, you know, Black Lives Matter again or whatever the fuck, or the equivalent of the replacement for XQC, then we will come back to this question. How is Asman one of the biggest streamers, dude? He has less than 2K subs than you. I mean, he's a bigger streamer than me. There's no doubt about that. But his fans don't have jobs. His fans don't have incomes. His fans are like the refuse of society. And like most right-wingers, they have an external locus of control, right? So they're blaming scapegoats rather than reflecting on what they could do to positively affect their situation.
But you're such a loser. Oh my God. Oh my God. This might be clip of the year, chat. Yeah, it's based. Shower, go outside, see the fucking daylight for once in your goddamn life. Oh my Lord. Pick up a weight, lift some weights, Enjoy life. Why do these people do this? Yeah, he says that while this happened to Emaru. That's the other side of it. Yeah, he'll do 8 hours talking about how it's fucked up that this, weird stalker ass people show up and harass Emaru. But then he masturbates with his stupid ass incel ass audience when it happens to someone he doesn't like. It's called hypocrisy. I know a lot of people love talking about hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. This is precisely what I was talking about when I said these guys literally egg on their fan bases so that they can get one socially maladjusted loser from their fan bases to finally take the step and go outside in person. And then they egg that shit on. Back in the day, swatting, for example, or this kind of behavior was frowned upon in the entire community. People would never actually highlight it or promote it. That time is gone now, okay? Is no holds barred. Is so crazy. Yeah. Also, that unwashed pussy has been running away from having a conversation with me for the past 2 years almost at this point. So think about that. Think about how cowardly you have to be that you have to sit around in your little hug box and talk about how shit I am and how dangerous I am.
I've been pretty reasonable about this for a long time. I think they should ban him.
And how the government should actually take action against me. And then celebrate when finally someone comes up to me in public, even though you're scared shitless to go outside on your own, and celebrate that sort of thing. But you can't even fucking deal with me in person. It's just stanky ass cowards. All of them. Hassan compares his sniper being to sexually assaulted. That's not what you mean. I can already tell this line of attack. Yeah, I know. But it's still hypocritical. This is what I mean when I say there are content creators egg this shit on. That was not like a horrible situation at all. Partially because I'm a big boy. I can handle myself. And I think I handled it fairly well. So much so that they had to literally mute a part of the fucking reaction where I was like, hey, man, have a good day. And we just moved on, right? But what do you think is going to happen next time when you are celebrating that sort of stuff? What if next time the guy actually doesn't just have like a Kaya photo, but instead actually has a gun, has a knife, does something more f***ed up? What if some people have already done something like this? What if some people have already stalked someone like myself and maybe I haven't talked about it publicly? What if people have already stalked my physical location and tried to assault me and people around me? Do you feel like it's a good thing that you keep celebrating this? I guess you'll make more content if the next time someone does something such as that and they actually have a gun or a knife or something like that and I experience bodily harm, you'll turn around and go, oh, how could this have happened? You don't know. You don't know. Just because I don't talk about every single thing that I do off camera doesn't mean that you should let go of your principles and entertain this kind of thing. It is truly a stupid thing for someone like Asmongold to entertain this kind of stuff. It is. It's a very, very stupid thing for him to do because not only could something far more consequential happen to me after he has egged it on and cheered it on without saying, hey, I think it's really f***ed up. If you're like a hater of a content creator, you probably shouldn't approach them in public like that. Instead of saying that, which would be the normal thing to do, you celebrate it. What happens when someone comes up to me and actually has an interest in engaging me with, engaging me in a more physical way? What if that's already happened? What if it happens to you? Content creators know that other content creators' addresses are fairly easy to find online, whether it be my address or whether it be Asmongold's address. Content creators also know that other content creators are constantly having to deal with this kind of stuff behind closed doors. There's a reason why content creators don't talk about this kind of stuff in order not to egg it on. What happens when this happens to you the next time you're going through a drive-through at Wendy's? Let me tell you, I won't respond in the same way that you're responding here. You don't even have to go outside, by the way. You know he ain't leaving his house. It doesn't matter. It's just crazy. All sense of normalcy is completely dropped. He's one of the largest content creators on this platform, and he's over here celebrating a random-ass hater showing up and stream sniping. Do we really want to do that? Is that really the game we're playing nowadays? Is that really what the standards have become? Are you that stupid and that short-sighted that you don't realize that this could genuinely harm you? I'm a public personality, and so are you, Asmongold. Your house mold is not going to stop someone from trying to do the same thing that they do to me that you egg on with your community.
See, the thing is, this even though he's right, even though he's right, like even though Hassan is correct, the problem is that Hassan has a project that involves going out into the real world on a regular basis, supporting politicians, protests, campaigns, going to places like the Oxford and Cambridge, being involved in the real world, walking picket lines with the WGA or the Actors Guild, and they don't. Ethan Klein sits in his dog shit infested studio, surrounded by fruit flies. Asmongold sits in his cockroach and rat infested studio, surrounded by empty takeout bags, while his body literally dissolves the clothes off his back because he never does laundry or takes a shower. There is just there's no symmetry here. Like that is the reality. And so I also, again, the reality with these kind of bullies and these kind of guys is the moment they get a taste of their own medicine, they're going to start crying and belly aching and cry bullying. Okay. Like, look how much quieter Destiny got while he's being sued for all the crimes he's committing. Well, you notice how he's got a lot quieter. He pops in from here and there, but he certainly is taking a step back into the background and letting his cat's paws do most of the work because he's actually getting 1% of the energy back. Mold Man just wants complete acceleration in whatever direction is most entertaining to him. He's so profoundly depressed. He doesn't care about his own well-being. He just wants spectacle and dopaminergic activation. Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say about that. No, he doesn't. He is a conservative. One of the foundational elements of conservatism is fear. Fear-motivated reasoning and loss aversion. All right? They only act in aggressive ways when they feel like there is no possibility for consequences. They are abusers. Abusers try to locate victims. Those are people that don't have the wherewithal or the ability to resist. Okay? Asmongold does what he does because he feels safe doing it. The moment Asmongold does not feel safe, he will run away and he will stop. Asmon's biggest fear is the mob. Asmon's biggest fear is other human beings. Again, that's why he tries to push them away by not bathing and showering and surrounding himself with filth. Asmongold is a very old archetype in human history. He is a hermit, and his fear of others and his hatred of himself. The only problem is we now have wires connecting his blathering idiocy to the rest of us. The haters can't stand that Hassan goes out and gets love all over the world. They want Hassan to stop engaging with the world too. That's the motivation. Yes. They're trying to intimidate Hassan. The reality is, as I said before, conservatives are the extreme minority, and they know it too.
I know for a fact that people already do that to you as well. So you know better than most other people not to entertain this shit, and yet you do. Because in that moment, you feel big. You feel, yeah, I gotta say this. I gotta say this to my audience. I gotta say that it's actually based and it's awesome. It's so strange. What you see in terms of harassment, as I've talked about with the Emaru situation, for example, is the tip of the iceberg. There's an unspoken rule among content creators in general where we don't talk about this sort of stuff. We don't highlight this sort of stuff, and we instantly criticize this sort of stuff because we all know what goes around comes around, and there's not a lot of protection against this sort of psychotic behavior. And I know for a fact that Asmongold has to deal with that in his day-to-day experience as well. He just doesn't talk about it, neither do I. But the difference between myself and Asmongold is that if someone were to approach Asmongold like that, I wouldn't be celebrating it. Yeah, he can farm this all day, every day. But if he hears my words, I think he'll understand man to man. You can farm this but what goes around comes around, Asmongold. And before people say, oh, he doesn't go outside, it doesn't matter. Content creators know that it's not just about going outside. Asmongold personally knows it's not just about going outside. Just as I personally know it's not just...
Diogenes wannabe, he's not Diogenes. He's not Diogenes at all. Diogenes is the opposite of Asmongold. Diogenes would not sit there, playing video games all day. He would disdain video games. He would see video games as the ultimate expression of the loss of authenticity and humanity and our true nature. He would see it as a vile simulacra of life. He would smash computers. He'd go to Best Buy and he'd take a hammer to Best Buy, or he'd take a large soda to Best Buy and just dump it on all the computers and go, oops. He would not be sitting there playing fucking titty game with Anime Girl. He'd be living in a giant refrigerator box out back. And he would say, you're a fucking idiot. You like video games. And he would throw his fucking piss pot at you. That's what Diogenes would be doing. He'd be the average homeless guy.
About going outside. When there's a will, there's a way.
Does have friends.
When you're in the
Asmon
same
doesn't have
spot.
friends. Asmon has 0 friends. Friendship is about mutual dedication to the other person. Friendship is about you'd be willing to sacrifice for that person, and you know that person would sacrifice for you. Friendship is not acquaintanceship. It's not even companionship. It is a deeper connection that stands up against, the bad times. If somebody is just with you when it's advantageous and when things are good, that's not a friend. He doesn't have any friends. He has short-term alliances. He has short-term transactional relationships. That's why he hates women in the way he does, because the only type of woman that would be attracted to him is somebody who wanted resources from him, because he's not attractive, he's not interesting, he's not kind, he's not inspiring. So no woman would go to Asmongold except for those that are willing to sell their time for money. No hate, but they're pros. Diogenes syndrome, also known as senile squalor syndrome, is a disorder characterized by extreme self-neglect, domestic squalor, social withdrawal, apathy, and compulsive hoarding of garbage or animals. Affected people may also display symptoms of catatonia. The name derives from Diogenes of Sinope, an ancient Greek philosopher, a cynic, and ultimate minimalist who allegedly lived in a large jar in Athens. Not only did he not hoard, but he actively sought human company by venturing daily to the agora. Therefore, this eponym is considered to be a misnomer. Exactly. Like, guys, read your shit. It's so funny that I know Greek shit better than I do Spanish. That's some white shit. That's some white shit on my part. I really need to learn other languages. The fact that I'm more comfortable reading Greek shit than I am Spanish shit, that's some white ass shit. But frontal lobe impairment, maybe. Hey, I think we figured out what's wrong with Asmongold. Damage to the frontal lobe could occur in a number of ways and result in many different consequences. Transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, also known as mini strokes, and frontal lobe damage. For example, someone who is feeling happy would not smile. Okay, patients who have experienced frontal lobe trauma may know the appropriate response to a situation, but display inappropriate responses to those same situations in real life. Similarly, emotions that are felt may not be expressed in the face or voice. For example, someone who is feeling happy would not smile, and the voice would be devoid of emotion. Along the same lines, a person may exhibit excessive, unwarranted displays of emotion. Also common is a loss of or decrease in motivation. Someone may not want to carry out normal daily activities and not feel up to it. The frontal lobe is the same part of the brain that is responsible for executive functions such as planning for the future, judgment, decision-making skills, attention span, and inhibition. These functions can decrease. Oh my God, he's got a brain tumor, maybe, or some other frontal lobe damage. In the human frontal cortex, a series of genes undergo reduced expression after age 40 and especially after age 70. This set includes genes that have key functions in synaptic plasticity, important in learning and memory, vascular transport, and mitochondrial function. During aging, DNA damage is markedly increased in the promoters of the genes, displaying reduced expression in the frontal cortex. In cultured human neurons, these promoters are selectively damaged by oxidative stress. Consequences that are seen less frequently are also varied. Confabulation may also be frequently indicated, less common effect. In the case of confabulation, someone gives false information while maintaining the belief that it is the truth. In a small number of patients, uncharacteristic cheerfulness can be noted. Bro, I think he might have frontal lobe damage. He might actually have frontal lobe damage. He has Diogenes syndrome or senile squalor syndrome. He might actually have brain damage. Asmongold might actually have brain damage. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but based on my layman's reading of these scenarios. I mean, if I read this and it was and Asmongold was a loved one, I'd take him in for a neurology appointment. He does have senile squalor syndrome. I think he does have senile squalor syndrome. Like, if he doesn't have it, who does? If Asmon sees this, he's going to get mad that he has senile squalor syndrome and he has frontal lobe damage and he needs a fucking brain scan. I mean, he did hit his head a lot when he was losing in video games. Like, didn't he like smash his head in one of his most popular clips because he lost in a video game? He does kind of seem. You should watch the Dr. K interview at some point. Asmon starts questioning his worth as a human. Can you just link me to the? Can you just clip that to me? Neuroplasticity basically means the brain is a muscle. He has no goals and constantly gratified himself that his executive function circuitry, the frontal lobe, has atrophied through underuse. Low key, he needs ECT. It would honestly help him, and he probably fits the criteria through self-neglect. Oh, definitely. Fuck! Why did he fall off? Did he stand in the fire? So it's just a normal mechanic and he got knocked back. Oh my lord, his positioning is dog shit. How is he so bad at this? I've heard mold can affect your neurological system. Do you think this could cause the frontal lobe damage? I mean, kind of seems like it.
Day in, day out, live streaming, people can figure out exactly where you live, just like they know where Asmongold lives and just like they know where I live. So don't talk like that, okay? It's not just about stream snipers, you moron. It's what you consider to be permissible, what you are leaning into with your audience. Inevitably, people are going to do more of the stuff that I know you've experienced already. Stop tapping the glass before it taps back at you in a way where you can't deal with it any longer. This is the reality. This is what I despise about Ethan Klein and Destiny and Asmongold and Dan.
Here's the thing. Again, nobody cares about Dan Saltzman. Like, literally, if Dan Saltzman, and I mean this, if Dan Saltzman went away tomorrow and never posted again, no one would care. If Destiny disappeared tomorrow, it would not make a blip, right? If Ethan Klein stopped posting tomorrow, it wouldn't make a blip. It would be like a Reddit thread for like a day. No one would fucking care. I would laugh about it. Hassan and I would laugh about it. But there's so many people that have gone away over the years and they're meaningless. Whereas if Hassan is actually meaningful. And this is something they hate, but it's true. Hassan has relationships with world leaders. Like, that's just the facts. And as a chatter is saying, they stand for nothing, they believe in nothing, and no one really cares about them. I think if you were to describe them, really, the answer is they are Hassan orbiters. Like, I have never had a problem with being associated with Majority Report or Hassan, but the reason why I probably watch more Majority Report content than I do Hassan content. I bet if you went through all of my streams since I started this show, I bet you I've spent more time watching Majority Report than I have Hassan. But I have never been called a Majority Report orbiter. My first emotes, and I still have them, are Majority Report emotes. I have a sexy Sam Cedar emote. I have a DSA weird emote. I have Michael Brooks ha 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 emote. I have the JB Peck emote. I have a Matt Leck emote. And I kept them all these years because they were some of the first emotes I made. Nobody calls me a Majority Report orbiter. And the reason is because these people are Hassan orbiters and they only see me through the lens of their obsession with Hassan. Now, I have no problem with the association. Associate me with Hassan all you want. I'm fine with that. He's a good guy. Friend of mine. We're solid work colleagues. I enjoy his community. I enjoy him. I don't really necessarily enjoy the wider, some of the kind of more parasocial spaces are a little odd to me and I don't really like them that much, but him, I do. I like the projects. I like what he says. So I support him because of the policies that he supports. I don't like him because of him being him. What I like about him is he's honest. What I like about him is he's intellectually curious. What I like about him is he's humble. Like, I could disagree with Hassan and he's not offended by that. I'm allowed to have a different take than him. In fact, he values that. He's not fucking fragile. He's not somebody who's gonna like flip out because I disagree over something. So like he is, but these guys are just orbiters of Hassan. Can you imagine Destiny, Dan Saltzman, and Ethan Klein without Hassan? Imagine these people with, if Hassan went away, it would be unfortunate for me because he's a major pipeline of people, of normies coming into politics on Twitch, which I would hate that went away. But I would be making content anyway. I'd be talking about politics like I do every fucking day in the exact same way. They have no content that isn't Hassan. Their entire world is Hassan. Dan Saltzman literally does not have a life but for Hassan. I want you to imagine being that level of pathetic. Like, I want you to imagine being Destiny, who's dedicated the last 6 years of his life to try to destroy Hassan and oppose Hassan, and all that's happened is everything he predicted about what politics was going to go was wrong, and everything that we said about where politics needed to go is right. And the American people are coming in our direction. And with all the power and money of billionaires, everything that Destiny said is fucking failing and wrong. Destiny has no reason to continue except for his hatred and obsession with Hassan. And like, I don't know what you can say other than Asmongold, Destiny, Ethan Klein, Dan Saltzman, a million grifter channels on YouTube. They have no reason to live. No reason to live that doesn't center strong emotional connections to Hassan. That's crazy. I fucking hate Hassan's community. It's just big. A bigger community is the worst elements will stick out. Oh, I mean, I think the worst part of Hassan's community is rad libs. And this is something that you will run into a lot as a left winger, is that people have the zeal of the recently converted. And it's cute until those people get power. Then it becomes really damaging. I like when a white person realizes how white supremacy is fucking evil and they need to fight against it. And they're like, fuck yeah, I believe in reparations, and fuck yeah, land back, and fuck yeah. And they like get super hyped because they realize they realize about like the nature of white supremacy, and then they just become so passionate about fighting it. And they start, they want to show people their new feelings and their positions. But then they start becoming they become super annoying because they start trying to police other white people. And they spend all their time going like, you're being a racist and I'm the one good white man. And it's like, whoa. You just learned this shit. You're not Inquisitor. Okay. Can you show a little bit of humility? And it's true of a lot of left-wing takes. A lot of people in left-wing circles are also young as well. So they may not be as socially regulated yet. They may be very, very focused on like social positioning, and people will use these ideas for interpersonal advantage. So these are things that you need to be aware of and not tolerate. And I feel like it can be very exhausting because the internet encourages that kind of behavior. The internet encourages what I call antisocial behavior on the left, which is this kind of like smarmy, inquisitorial shit that people have called woke, which is not really what woke is about. It's more of Tumblr. It's more of a social media brain than it is woke. Woke is about the ideas of being aware of the systems of oppression in society. That's what woke really is what black people meant when they came up with the term. And woke has been transformed into describing antisocial behaviors by Tumblr users and annoying commenters. So I am woke. I'm anti-Tumblrite. Like, I don't like people that are like annoying and focused on like ostracization as their number one tactic and trying to uncover conversos. It's kind of, I keep saying inquisitorial, but I'm not like expanding on the analogy. But basically in medieval Spain, late medieval, early Renaissance Spain, there was a project of the Reconquista, which was Christian Catholic Iberians pushing back against the Muslim kingdoms of the southern Iberian Peninsula. And so Spain had a large populations of Catholics, Muslims, and Jews all living together. And in the project of reconquest, there was an inquisitor, the Spanish Inquisition, and they went around and they kind of forced religious uniformity. And there was a population of people known as conversos. So these were people who were forcibly converted into Catholicism from being Jewish or Muslim. And that's bad enough. But one of the things that happened is the Inquisition after 1492 and the fall of Granada, the last Muslim kingdom in the Iberian Peninsula, and the last forcible conversions of some significant populations, the Inquisition didn't go away. It started to turn in on itself and look for secret Jews and secret Catholic or secret Muslims, and it kept trying to find people that were secretly in their heart actually bad, and looked for any example of Muslim tradition or Jewish tradition or, familial connection to those old religions. And I feel like a lot of the online left has that mentality where somebody could be all about being an anti-racist. They could be opposed to anti-Semitism. They could be opposed to transphobia. They could be, pro-queer. They could be good on everything. And all of their projects and work is in that direction. But you have this group of people that are like looking over them with a fine-tuned comb for any example that might be construed as bad, so they could declare them to be a secret evil person. And it's like that behavior, that mentally ill behavior, and that's what it is mental illness, is what scares people away from the left. Because it's like, what if I change my mind and I agree with you about everything, you're still going to treat me like an asshole and a piece of shit forever and all time because you found some secret piece of evidence that proves that I'm secretly X, Y, and Z? No, we reject that. We reject that idea. We reject that mentality completely. It doesn't mean we tolerate you being racist. It doesn't mean we tolerate somebody being Islamophobic. It doesn't mean we tolerate people being transphobic or misogynistic or whatever the fuck. But I'm not here for attempts to discredit people based on some like, aha moment. That's bullshit. You know if somebody's right wing or not. It's not confusing. It's not a secret. You don't need to cite the Inquisition to find instances of an overzealous convert. Ask anyone who went to a Christian school. They know the born-again administrator who treats the Bible like a fact. Hell, look at Mike Pence. Dude was pissed at Milan. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to give a fun historical lesson because that's what my stream's about. I try to elevate your guys' conversation, not just use social media and public and like popular culture slop for every analogy. I'm trying to make you smarter by giving you some historical context as opposed to using the same pop culture slop arguments. That's just my style. Because there's a lot of people that have never read a book who will make analogies to Disney pop culture. Anyway, let's keep going.
Saltman, whose addresses are all readily available in the same exact websites and platforms that they rely on, that their fan bases go to find my address, to harass me. These guys are equal opportunity autists. They're equal opportunity cyber stalkers. You're playing a very dangerous game when you lean into this. This is one big crash out. Just saying, if you want to see this as a crash out, go ahead. See it as a crash out. I don't think it's a crash out. This is just factually accurate information. Maybe framing this as a crash out makes you feel better about not even yourself, but about the feelings of your favorite content creator. As long as you just go, oh, he's crashing out actually, then you can spare the feelings of your favorite content creator, which is so pathetic, by the way. It's a pathetic way to exist. What I've said so far is no different than my commentary after Emaru was sexually assaulted at TwitchCon at the meet and greet. I said the exact same things then as I'm saying now, leaning into and promoting and celebrating random people showing up as stream snipers on streams of other content creators you don't like. That's creating a dangerous environment for you too. You think you're farming this right now, but I know for a fucking fact you're dealing with it on the back end. It's incredibly short-sighted.
Twitch chatters use crash out the same way debate pervs use emotional. I think one of the things that is like probably the most pathetic cultural artifact of the debate pervert culture is the idea of you mad, I won. Like that may be the most pathetic and worst part of the way these people present. Also misusing the term reactionary because they're illiterate, which mostly comes from Destiny because he's a dumb fuck. He doesn't know, he hasn't read a book. So he kept saying reactionary to describe people that make reaction content, where it is, that's not what it means. And it's very funny how dumb fuck he is. Shit, I was one of the best CX debaters in the country years ago. Mike looks very similar to my then debate partner, and debate perverts annoy me because they're not debate perverts. They're just, it's not a debate. It's just yelly. It's like, it's basically best described as bootleg Fox News panel show. It's not a debate. It's just a bunch of people on the screen making noises. It's not intended to be in any way an intellectual exercise.
That you think you can make one fucking YouTube video off of this and then it won't come back around to you, especially when it already has come back around to you. I know what you mean with egging this on. Clip of the year, Patriot. So what message does this send? The next guy has to do something bigger to get a similar reaction from his favorite streamer or Discord com. Exactly. That's what it is. And I know he knows that. In any case, I'm sure he'll turn around after literally celebrating someone showing up and being like, oh, I thought it was just like a meme. I think so. I think it's a meme. I think it's ultimately harmless at this stage, right? But when you got freaks like Roach Man being like, yeah, this is the clip of the year, you're telling your audience that they need to do more of it. You're telling your parasocial fans that they got to do stuff like this to get your attention, that you'll highlight them, that you'll give them praise. What are you doing?
Moments later.
He's doing damage control on a stream so hard right now. Good. I think he should tell his audience not to do that.
Personal safety. I would not react to stream sniping clips of him because of that, because I know that, like, I know what it's like to deal with stuff like this, right? And so, like, if he doesn't want me to, I would not do it, if you want me to be honest, right? Because I know how problematic it is. But, like, I really don't think this is over the line. I don't think it's over the line at all. It's just a funny guy just, just taking a piss, right? It's not a big deal. So I don't know if he's upset about that or not. I have no fucking idea, but yeah. It's just a meme. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's being, okay. It doesn't look like it's done with like malicious or aggressive intent. So yeah, and that's what I would say. Oh, yeah. Seen a recent tweet of him reply to Dexterdo's fan account about Rakai's ban.
He's doubling down? No, he's not doubling down. He's backing down.
Mistake, basically. Yeah, I did see that. Absolutely.
Come on, dog. He literally printed out a photo. Like the level of effort that person put into it, he could have put into something much worse. Okay, that's not normal behavior. Oh, it's just a meme. Let's move on to another drama thing. You said that to 36,000 people, by the way. Clip of the year. That shit's gonna go on your YouTube page, get 1 million views. That shit's gonna go on Twitter already. He always does this cop out. If Hassan wants me to stop talking about something, he should message me and I will stop. Maybe use your common sense. It's fucking ridiculous, man. Think critically. The only reason why I know about what he said is because he literally said it on, and it made its way to Twitter already. What will it fucking take? Also, it's not a surprise to me that every right-wing account posted it. Every single one. The clip of the year has been up on his YouTube for 2 hours already. Are you serious? He's like, oh, I didn't realize it. There is no way, dude. There's no way that shit's already on his YouTube. No.
This, I think, might be the clip.
Motherfucker has never been speechless in all his life. Yeah, dumbass. I wasn't speechless here either. 3.5 thousand likes. Brother, it's muted. Think critically. I responded to the person. I said, nice to meet you. He responded back. They edited the clip. These people are so stupid. 120,000 views in 2 hours, Asmon. It wasn't enough that some dude pulled up, but they had to literally edit it as though he like got one on me and I was like devastated by it or some shit. Like they fucking muted it.
Hey, free Kaya.
And then they start playing music. They just, wait.
Jesus, I'll tell you what, the power of...
Why would anybody do that? Why would you go to this length? Why would you go to this extent to literally mute the VOD? This happened 3 hours ago. Guy shows up. It's fine. It's not like a big deal at all. They straight up edit the VOD to make it seem like I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. And then it's already on Asmongold. It's on Ethan Klein's It's on Ethan Klein's Instagram. Tim Pool posts about it. Entire right-wing orbit posts about it instantly. And it's all the...
By the way, because they do coordinate. Everything they say is projection, right? Like, they think what the funniest... run it back. The funniest thing... Sorry about that, chat. I got distracted when I was in between the bathroom and back to the chair. The funniest thing about the right wingers is they have this big conspiracy about us coordinating because it's all projection, because they do. And the thing is, we don't even have to coordinate. We just have the vast majority of normal people on our side. You guys have to bot yourselves up because people don't like you, because your shit sucks. That's why I could have Asmongold in my title. Where's all the Asmongold fans? Come to say I suck. What happened? I'm at the top of fucking just chatting. Where's all your natural fans that come in here to tell me how much I suck? What happened? You're the big viewer, guys. Like, what happened? It's like, I'm right at the very top. I'm making fun of you. Am I actually am I #1 right now? Am I the biggest channel on Twitch? Is that actually true? Viewers high to low? Just chatting? Am I #1 channel? What happened? Where's all the Asmongold fans? None of them are awake because they don't have jobs. It's fucking 1 p.m. Eastern. Mike, have you considered Asmon fans are more mature and better at being the bigger man than you are? Yeah, exactly. Asmongold is a hypocritical pussy and maybe they will come to defend. No, because until the bot network is booted up.
I'm a public personality, and so are you, Asmongold. Your house mold is not going to stop someone from trying to do this.
Is there a way for me to filter out channels in other languages? Yeah, what you do is there is a language and you just put English. I'm in just chatting category with English label, viewers ranked high to low. I guess somebody's watching an anime. Mike, it's 8 p.m. in Israel. Maybe Asmon fans are about to go to sleep. Yeah, true. Mike, have I played Dispatch? A little bit. I'm currently on my Arc Raiders obsession. That's the game that I've been addicted to.
Nice to meet you. He responded back. They edited the clip. These people are so stupid. 120,000 views in 2 hours, Asmon. It wasn't enough that some dude pulled up, but they had to literally edit it as though he like got one.
Oh, did I click on productions? No, I watched the official channel. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
On me, and I was like devastated by it or some shit. Like they.
I don't think it's over the line at all.
He's doing damage control on a stream so hard right now. Good. I think he should tell his audience not to do that.
Personal safety. I would not react to stream sniping clips of him because of that. Because I know that, like, I know what it's like to deal with stuff like this, right? And so, like, if he doesn't want me to, I would not do it. If you want me to be honest, right? Because I know how problematic it is. But like, I really don't think this is over the line.
Okay, Asmongold has said, chat, if you see him in public, it's not over the line to approach him to do a hostile meme. So what he said, what Zach Rar is saying, now I don't want, if you come up to me with hostility, you can consider, I might consider that a personal attack or a physical attack. So don't come up with me with any kind of heat, because who knows, right? Who knows? If you want to come up and be nice, that's fine. Want to come up and bring heat, be careful. Be fucking careful. Remember, chat, 135 grains are very heavy when they go fast enough. I just don't understand how the stalking of a public figure like this, an explicit incitement to do this from other public figures, is not criminal stalking or menacing. I mean, it is. If you are following someone with hostile intent on social media so you can like confront them in person, that is stalking. That's fucking stalking. Asmon wouldn't like it if someone came up to him and then pulled out a drawing of him giving his mom a cigarette. I mean, it would be incredibly fucked up, right? Chat, listen, his mom was smoking on 100% oxygen, and I know according to him, I don't know if he told her to stop or not. I'm sure that's a very traumatic memory of his, and I'm sure he thinks a lot about what maybe he may have, significantly injured her by enabling that. But it's not really our job to sit in judgment of that, right? Obviously, the Texas authorities determined that it wasn't a criminal, neglect or anything, and it was an accident. It is what it is. I wasn't there. So I'm not going to sit here and litigate it, years after the fact. And I'm sure that's a really painful memory for him. I would be consumed by guilt if our roles were reversed, right? Like if I was a multi-millionaire living in my mom's home, and I was too lazy to even get any help around the house. No live-in nurse, no maid, nobody to help, keep it clean when her lungs were choked by, disease. I would feel tremendous guilt. So I don't want to sit in judgment of him.
I don't think it's over the line at all. It's just a funny guy just taking a piss, right? It's not a big deal. So I don't know if he's upset about that or not. I have no fucking idea, but yeah. It's just a meme. Yeah. I
See what I mean? So, as far as... So, Asmongold is saying, if you see him on the street, approach him with memes that make fun of him, and that's okay. And make sure you post the clip. That's what Asmongold is saying. As far as he's concerned, that's not over the line. Me, personally, don't approach me with hostile intent. Never approach me with hostile intent. Hassan has said the same. Now, if you're a fan or you just want to say hi, please, that's totally cool. And, understand the difference between somebody being, available in public versus somebody in a private setting or a setting where they expect to be left alone.
So, it doesn't look like it's being, okay. It doesn't look like it's done with like malicious or aggressive intent. So, yeah. And that's what I would say.
Hiding something, then flipping it. If I was security, I'd tackle him then and there. Oh yeah. The fact that he came up with stuff in his hands and then started like shuffling secretly. If he got punched out right there by security, that would have been a probably reasonable thing to do. Like if somebody like comes up concealing something and then starts to like take it out right when they're standing next to you, that's fucking crazy. And the face covered.
Holy, yeah. Seen a recent tweet him reply to Dexterdo's fan account about Rakai's ban.
He's doubling down? No, he's not doubling down. He's backing down.
Mistake, basically. Yeah, I did see that. Absolutely.
Come on, dog. He literally printed out a photo. Like the level of effort that person.
If you see video, by the way, chat, this reminds me, if you have content you want me to take a look at, like views or other channels and stuff, there is a news content and suggestions section in the Discord where you can put, articles, videos, tweets from prominent people, not your own tweet, other social media posts and news posts in the news content and suggestions section. I usually take a look at that channel. In fact, that's probably the channel I look at the most in Discord. So just a suggestion. How do I join the Discord? ! Discord.
Put into it. He could have put into something much worse. Okay. That's not normal behavior. Oh, it's just a meme. Let's move on to another drama thing. You said that to 36,000 people, by the way. Clip of the year. That shit's going to go on your YouTube page, get 1 million views. That shit's going to go on Twitter already. He always does this cop-out. If Hassan wants me to stop talking about something, he should message me and I will stop. Maybe use your common sense. It's fucking ridiculous, man. Think critically. The only reason why I know about what he said is because he literally said it and it made its way to Twitter already. What will it fucking take? Also, it's not a surprise to me that every right-wing account posted it. Every single one. The clip of the year has been up on his YouTube for 2 hours already. Are you serious? He's like, oh, I didn't realize it. There is no way, dude. There's no way that shit's already on his YouTube. No.
This, I think, might be the clip.
Motherfucker has never been speechless in all his life. Yeah, dumbass. I wasn't speechless here either. 3.5 thousand likes. Brother, it's muted. Think critically. I responded to the person. I said, nice to meet you. He responded back. They edited the clip. These people are so stupid. 120,000 views in 2 hours, Asmon. It wasn't enough that some dude pulled up. But they had to literally edit it as though he like got one on me and I was like devastated by it or some shit. Like they fucking muted it.
Hey, free Kaya. Free Kaya.
And then they start playing music. They just wait.
Jesus, I'll tell you what, the power of...
Why would anybody do that? Why would you go to this length? Why would you go to this extent to literally mute the VOD? This happened 3 hours ago. Guy shows up. It's fine. It's not like a big deal at all. They straight up edit the VOD to make it seem like I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. And then it's already on Asmongold. It's on Ethan Klein's. It's on Ethan Klein's Instagram. Tim Pool posts about it. entire right-wing orbit posts about it instantly. And it's all the same edited clip. It is so incredibly coordinated. How do people not realize that this is like just straightforward slop? And also, when you lean into this, and the same goes for Tim Pool, who complains about getting swatted all the time. Every single right-wing account was like, oh, this was so awesome. Hey, dumbass, you go outside too. What do you think they're gonna do or say to you when you go outside? You got a lot more haters than I do, motherfucker. I don't give a shit about going outside. I'll go outside every goddamn day. You are terrified of going outside. Why the f do you think you can just lean into this shit on the internet? Someone took Tim Pool's beanie and he talked about it as though it was an assassination for years on end. Guy stalks me with malicious intent. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day because, you know, I'm going to diffuse that situation because most people are not going to behave too crazy in the normal world, right? But like, there's a lot of effort that he put into this. Do you not think that this is not normal behavior? Do you think that this is behavior that should be celebrated? Are you that stupid? Again, when it happens to a content creator you like, you go, oh my God, how could this have happened? It's so devastating. We really need to stop allowing shit like this to happen. When it happens to a content creator you don't like, you go, oh hell yeah, he deserved it. It was awesome. I love these memes. Not realizing that when you actually normalize that sort of behavior for content creators you don't like, it's going to happen to a content creator you do like as well. It's not what this guy did that's the problem. You understand that, right? The intent behind it.
Also, wearing a mask. Wearing a mask. Hila and Ethan Klein have said they're too afraid to go to their favorite restaurant.
Need to get these guys out of this place. They're so annoying.
I'll be honest. I'm not going to Rodeo. I'm way more hesitant to go there
because of them.
Kinds of stuff there. Like if I was going to my favorite restaurant and these guys were outside all the time, I'd be like, I'm not going to that restaurant.
No, they literally did that in my favorite restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even with my family when they came to visit, we didn't go there because I was like, that motherfucker's probably right there.
These guys need to do something. To be honest though.
Absent Backbone and Ethan Klein, here they are crying about people coming up and making clips. Now, when they actually did, they folded and said free Palestine from the river to the sea and how much they hated Netanyahu. So they have a problem with opportunistic clippers coming up to them in person, but then they're going around posting video clips about Hassan. No sympathy. No sympathy for them at all. If they're going to act like this, that's crazy. No one, the two idiots act like anyone gives a fuck about them. No one cares about them at all. The funny thing about Ethan Klein in general is that they are pretty safely considered to be irrelevant. And because they sued people for reacting to their video, nobody will react to their videos. They've actually created a disincentive to promote them because everybody knows in the YouTube and streaming space that if large streamers watch your content and say you're good, it will help you grow. It will promote the video and it will promote your channel. People are afraid to watch your shit or react to it, and it's just going to cut off pipelines of new audience members. So basically, Ethan Klein has incentivized people to stay away from his shit, especially like watching whole videos.
Well, he lost his cool. He got scared. He got spooked. KKK Clancy. That's right. One more time because it.
Great job.
I feel like he's angry too. You can sense it.
You can sense that people have been driving him crazy with this topic or something.
Oh, he hates me.
But great job to this girl.
Absolutely. I don't know who this is, but shout outs to this.
Looks like she's in chat because there's one person saying that's my video.
Oh, we love you, girly. We love you so much.
It's B.
Hey, by the way, did you blow up? Hey, chatter who made this video, did you blow up on social media? You got a big following now? Or are all the foot fungi in your chats boosting you up? Are you having a career now? Oh wait, no, you were just used. You're just used by Ethan Klein. They didn't even send her a fucking free Teddy Fresh t-shirt. Hope you enjoyed making this Zionist millionaire money so he could harass people.
Name is B.
You be the one. you be the best. Sorry.
Even better than blowing up, people just grabbed their video and reposted it without credit to the point they had to tell people it was their video. So in other words, it was just clip stealers that got all the views. This is what happens when you stand up for Ethan.
comments know which Paytas is which Paytas because they're getting me mixed up. They think that I don't follow through with the things I say. They're saying that I'm not actually going to Trisha Paytas's wedding. I purchased the plane ticket. It was $273. That is non-refundable. American Airlines.
Daddy, can I use your seat on Saturday? Mine was taken away from me. Long story short, the Wicked Witch of Westlake Village, she is... Ooh, I know you know. Please, can I use your...
This is a Trisha Paytas stalker being directly promoted and liked and encouraged by Ethan Klein. Trisha Paytas was an ex-collaborator with Ethan Klein. This is an unhinged stalker threatening to go to somebody's wedding.
I just manipulated them, scared them, and got them paranoid because they're a paranoid person so that they would spend more money on security at their wedding, and hopefully it would like cause anxiety on their wedding when it's supposed to be a stress-free day. I wanted to cause havoc and anxiety, so I did.
That's what's called intentional infliction of emotional distress, and you should be sued for that. That's actually an insane, that is a tort, by the way. And this is stalking, and this is harassment, and these are terroristic threats, and these are intentional infliction of emotional. This is that. Why isn't she not arrested? Cops don't arrest stalkers. They really don't. And until they commit some like actual offense, they won't.
I Cole Kerrigan the whole thing, made all of it up, and it worked.
Ethan Klein has a history of encouraging the IRL harassment of his enemies. Remember when he encouraged Trisha Paytas' IRL stalker to crash her wedding? So Ethan Klein, like, again, when he's crying about this shit, understand that this is just random people that make videos on, asking people they support Palestine, which is kind of an annoying thing to do, but it is a necessary question. People should be forced to answer if they support genocide or not. And I don't particularly like these guys. I think they're like opportunists and stalkery and weird, and I don't like that content. Ethan Klein is actually interacted. I think he's also interacted with Taylor Lorenz's stalker as well.
Is the major issue. The effort put into it is the problem. Yeah, whatever. He pulled up with a photo of Kaya being electrocuted. It's a funny meme. I don't give a shit.
She is married to Gila's brother, and they have 3 children together. That's even more unhinged. That's even more disgusting and unhinged.
About that. Do you not understand? It's the fact that someone took that level of initiative and effort to find where I'm at when I'm obviously like unafraid to put my location out there to do that. A person that does that gets this level of immediate praise and celebration is going to create copycats. Content creators know that it's going to create copycats. And not only will it create copycats, it will create more dangerous copycats where people will constantly try to push the envelope. They will try to do something more impactful because this doesn't work, right? This is just regular harassment. So next time they're going to do something different. Where will it end? That's the question. These people act as though I incite violence, right? I'm inciting violence. This is directly an incitement for more violence. And it's also directly incitement for more violence that will come back to you inevitably as well. It's a really, really, really thing to do if you're a content creator, and it's also very short-sighted for you to do as a content creator. Yeah, Destiny encouraged his audience to stalk me in the past. It's happened before. That didn't stop me. I still go outside. Remember the I'm shaking guy at the DNC? The guy that came up to me at the DNC and was like, Destiny made you. It was like a brief moment. It was a brief interaction. It didn't matter. Destiny literally retweeted the guy, celebrated his behavior in his community. And then that same Destiny also said someone should kill me in the streets. Who's actually inciting violence now? I'm not saying that about Destiny or anyone for that matter. Anyway, I think I got my point across. I hope it was able to reach the intended audience. Be more careful with the way that you're promoting.
It's true. Rhizome was part of that community. I think he was still, yeah.
And it's not just, this is not just a message for Asmongold. It's for Tim Pool. It's for all these right-wing losers that are jerking off to this kind of shit, not realizing that I'm not afraid to go outside. If I die, I fucking die. You are afraid to go outside, you pussy. You're afraid to go outside because you're worried about something like that happening to you, but then you sit on the internet and celebrate that shit, and then you complain about getting swatted all the time. Suck my dick. You are leaning into it. You are normalizing it.
You got bowling videos popping up. Hell yeah. And I think that's really where it is, chat. I think that's really my general take on the Asmongold Ethan Klein, you know, Kaceytron thing. Kaceytron managed to fend off Ethan Klein and made him look like an even more unhinged fucking weirdo that everyone hates. The reason why liberals hate Hassan more than they do fascists is because you're not understanding who they are. Hassan is a direct competitor for liberals. Either their worldview will be ascendant or Hassan's will within the Democratic Party and left-wing politics in America, right? Whereas they're not really competing on the right wing. So for them, if the right wing is willing to ally with them to go after Hassan, they're willing to ally with the right. And the reason why they're willing to ally with the right is they're fundamentally about the same interests as the capitalist right is. It's just a matter of what is if the face is mean and scary like Trump, or if it's a little bit less unappealing like when Obama's in office. But fundamentally, they agree on all the major issues. America should be an imperialist power. America should be able to kill people and have no consequences. America should be able to invade countries around the world. Capitalism is great. Markets are the only way. They might have some minor disagreements about whether women should be able to work or have abortions, but they agree on Israel committing genocide. So on all the questions that really fundamentally matter, Hassan and my politics are the only ones that really threaten the status quo. Whereas Asmongold and the fake populist right, they're all about supporting the same donor class, the same rich. It's about the status quo, just finding bully victims and targets to blame. Meanwhile, in Mexico, chat, they have just raised the minimum wage and declared a 40-hour work week. For the first time in the history of Mexico, a full-time job is 40 hours, down from 48.
Garantizar los derechos de las y los trabajadores se establecerá a nivel constitucional, así como también en la Ley Federal de Trabajo, una jornada laboral de 40 horas semanales. Esta reducción de 40 a 48 horas no podrá reducción de sueldos, ni de salarios, ni de prestaciones. Asimismo, por primera vez se establece la prohibición de que los menores de edad trabajen horas extras, así como una implementación gradual y paulatina. Al ser una reforma legal y sobre todo constitucional, desde su presentación y durante el transcurso del año 2026, esta propuesta de cambio tendrá que ser analizada y aprobada en primera instancia por el Congreso de la Unión y en el caso de las modificaciones constitucionales por los congresos de las entidades federativas, contemplando con ello su entrada a vigor en el mismo año. Como ya se ha mencionado en diversas ocasiones, que esta reducción no puede ser de un momento a otro, además atendiendo con ello las recomendaciones del convenio 116 de la OIT, en donde se puedan hacer de manera paulatina estos cambios, integrándolos de manera también progresiva. Esto nos da oportunidad de que avancemos año con año en una reducción.
Labor, I wish I understood Spanish. Labor Secretary Merith Barak Balonos. Oh God, I really need to learn Spanish. Presented the roadmap for reducing the 40-hour workday to 40 hours. It will not be immediate, nor in 2026. It will be gradual, starting in 2027, which staggered by 2 hours, with a final goal of January 2030. This is what they said. The workday from 48 to 40 hours will be written into the Constitution and federal labor law. There will be no salary cuts or reductions in benefits. It's prohibited for minors to work overtime hours. Congress will approve the reform in 2026, and state Congresses must approve the constitutional changes. 2026 will serve as an adjustment period for employers and workers. Starting in 2027, the workday will decrease by 2 hours per year. Goal will be reached in January 2030, when the workday will finally reach 40 hours a week. A slap in the face of the working class. Bots, dude. Close to the elections. Yes, that's a good idea to structure reforms around, hey, if you don't vote for us, they're going to take them away. That's actually called smart politics, and I'm 100% in favor of it. Europe and China have a role to play in laying the foundations for a fair and robust global economic governance. Emmanuel Macron. France begs China for development help? I don't know if you guys saw this, but Emmanuel Macron was basically crawling on his hands and knees for China. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, I had more. Here it is. Everything has been inverted. We're the emerging countries. They're the developed one. The French government is now asking China for technology transfers. The emerging countries are us. After 30 years of globalization, they have largely allowed China to grow and innovate. The Chinese today have particularly advanced technologies that can be shared with their trusted partners, especially Europeans. A perspective that marks a reversal of history when in the last 40 years, it is from Europe to China that technology transfers took place, thanks to the arrival of many companies from the old continent in different Chinese provinces from the 1980s. French investments in China, 40 billion euros in 2023, are still 3 times higher than Chinese investment in France. But Beijing stands out in areas such as batteries, photovoltaics, or the electric car. All I can say fundamentally, chat. Also, can I say one more thing? This doesn't have anything to do with China, but Halle Berry bashes Governor Gavin Newsom at New York Times Summit just before he takes stage. Should not be our next president either. Academy Award-winning actress Halle Berry lashed out at California Governor Gavin Newsom on Wednesday, arguing that he overlooks women and shouldn't be our next president. At this stage of my life, I have 0 fucks left to give, Berry said in remarks at the Deal Book Summit before taking aim at the Democratic governor. Back in my great state of California, my very own governor, Gavin Newsom, has vetoed our menopause bill. Not 1, but 2 years in a row. But that's okay, because he's not going to be governor forever. And the way he has overlooked women, half the population, by devaluing us, he probably should not be our next president either. Just saying. The jab at Newsom, who spoke at the same summit after Berry, reportedly drew gasps from the crowd at Lincoln Center in New York City. The California governor's term ends in the end of 2026, and he confirmed in October that he's eyeing a 2028 White House run. Polls regularly peg Newsom as one of the top contenders in a Democratic presidential primary, along with former Vice President Kamala Harris and ex-Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Who are they leaving out? Look how they promote the right-wing Democrats in the New York Post. Isn't that amazing? Berry's criticism of the slick-haired poll stemmed from his October veto of legislation for the second time aimed at improving and expanding menopause care. The bill Newsom rejected sought to mandate that healthcare plans provide recommendations for menopause-related treatments and require healthcare providers to receive training related to menopause care. Izzy Gardon, a spokesperson for Newsom, told the Post that the governor vetoed the menopause care bill because it would have raised healthcare costs. Remember, chat, menopause care for people in various stages of their life, that's just for the rich. Just remember, that's how these fuckers operate.
Sometimes there are differences, but it's our responsibility to overcome them for the greater good. That from the French President Emmanuel Macron as he spoke at a special reception in China. The Chinese President Xi Jinping echoing his words, calling for more stable ties with France. A warm welcome then for Macron and his wife Brigitte to the Great Hall of the People, where the ceremony had to be moved indoors due to cold weather there. Trade and the war in Ukraine still top of the list of items on the agenda in those talks.
I think that we have the measure of the gravity of the situation and the necessity to have a robust and lasting peace. You know that France is engaged in this, and I hope we can reinforce our cooperation on this. As permanent members of the UN Security Council, we have particular responsibility, and we have to do everything so that compromises are found and that international law is maintained and long-term stability returns.
On the crisis in Ukraine, China supports all efforts towards peace. We hope that the different parties can, through dialogue, find a peace agreement that is fair, lasting, and acceptable to all parties concerned. China will continue to play a constructive role in solving this crisis via political means, but we strongly oppose all irresponsible discriminatory accusations.
Well, let's hear then from our reporter Clovis Casali, who's in Beijing for us.
French President Emmanuel Macron was welcomed at the Great Hall of the People here in Beijing by troops and by dozens of children aged around 10 years old, waving Chinese and French flags. And Xi Jinping, his Chinese counterpart there, of course, they had a bilateral meeting face to face. It was supposed to last around 30 minutes. It lasted more than an hour. And that just shows you that they had a lot to talk about, notably Ukraine. China could be doing more to influence Russia. That's what France thinks. The French president, surely in the bilateral meeting, asked his Chinese counterpart to contact Vladimir Putin to try to convince him that a ceasefire is necessary and that it should be a fair peace deal. In the statement to the press, the Chinese president actually said that China supports all peace efforts and also that it supports a peace deal that would be fair, long-lasting and accepted by all parties. And Xi Jinping also stressing that China opposes firmly all discriminatory accusations and all irresponsible accusations. In other words, all those who are accusing China of taking part or of helping Russia in its aggression of Ukraine.
Oh boy. French pronunciations are so unintuitive. Oh yeah. You think it's a sign of China's rise that people pronounce Beijing closer to the Mandarin pronunciation? I mean, obviously. There is a realignment that is happening in front of our eyes. And it's a necessary realignment. As an American, you should be happy about it. Because America has not been a fair steward of the global order. We have held down much of the world into poverty and exploitative relationships. We have maintained Western hegemony at the cost of millions of lives, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. And so the United States being forced into a multipolar world with international institutions, democratic institutions, is much preferable to the United States of America supporting genocide after genocide. Whether it's a genocide in East Timor, whether it's a genocide in Gaza, the United States of America supporting violent death squads in Afghanistan, Honduras, or dictators in Brazil and Chile and Argentina. There isn't a continent that is untouched by American imperialism. And that includes Australia, where we cooed the government twice. President Xi Jinping and French President Emmanuel Macron will jointly met the press after their talks. As agreed by the two presidents, the two sides will commit to working in the following 4 areas. 1, strengthening political mutual trust. The two sides will understand and support each other on matters involving each other's core interests and major concerns. Expanding practical cooperation. The two sides will facilitate balanced development of bilateral economic and trade relations, expand two-way investment, and provide fair, transparent, non-discriminatory, and predictable business environment for companies in the two countries. Promoting cultural and people-to-people exchanges. The two sides will have a new round of cooperation on giant panda protection. And 4, furthering the reform and improvement of global governance. The two sides will strengthen strategic communication and collaboration, uphold the international system with the UN at its core, and the international order underpinned by international law, and work for a more just and equitable global governance system. Beijing is selling mutual trust and global governance, but everyone knows what this really is. China is trying to pull France a little closer, while its relationships with Japan, the US, and the EU keep cooling. France is the EU. France is the fucking EU. I think there was just a post by that advisor, Mao Ning, who she posted something about infrastructure.
Chinese bridges, optimizing the country's engineering excellence, have set many world records. 625 meters high, world's highest, built in the clouds beyond imagination. 55 kilometers across the sea, 3 cities, 1 heartbeat. Train and car share 1 bridge. The mighty ocean surges, the Great Bridge stands. 164.85 kilometers, world's longest. A steel dragon across the sky. Main span over 1 kilometer, precision defines power. The longest span arc bridge, strength in curve, beauty in steel. World's longest span cable-stayed bridge, every line pulls China forward. Double-deck suspension bridge, a city's rhythm flowing above the river. Across the bay, beneath the sea, a mega project uniting the Greater Bay Area. From mountains to the sea, China builds with vision and power. Each bridge, a masterpiece. Each connection, a step toward the future.
When you think about America's mightiest bridges, they were mostly built in the 30s or the 20s. That's sad. All right, chat. Let's move on to talking about how much the centrist Dems are molding. Whenever Hillary Clinton climbs out of the crypt she's been kept
This is
in,
Hillary Clinton we're talking.
and she starts speaking about modern politics, this should tell you exactly what the insiders are saying in between emails to Jeffrey Epstein.
Talking about.
I would get this if she was out there trying to hawk some type of like reverse mortgage product.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like I would get this if like she was consciously aware of trying to manipulate boomers and greatest generation people, like, you know, people and sell some product to them. But the complete, I don't want to say naivete, because it's not, it's the delusion is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a delusion, and it's somebody in an incredible bubble. We are so deep into get off my lawn territory here that I honestly can't even express it. I just wish that she would find it somewhere in her heart to give the country a break and step back away from these events. Now, of course, she has every right, you know, like anybody does, to speak her mind. But one has to take responsibility for the damage that they're doing. And this is just, she is trumpeting both a losing and deluded cause, and doing so at the expense of some of the stuff that I would imagine she believes she supports.
But at the same time, it's almost like she has a set worldview, and as she talks about other people being propagandized, she is so unwilling to challenge her own worldview and is projecting that almost outwardly.
It's not a worldview. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bust up Majority Report in the middle of their rant, but Hillary Clinton doesn't have a worldview. She has a class interest. The only time worldview comes into it is if she has a view that is contrary to her class interest. If she's acting in accordance with her class interest, it's not a worldview, it's an interest. And I don't like saying worldview, because that's soft liberalism. That's liberal ideology. Hillary Clinton holds the position she holds because of the positions she held, meaning positions on issues versus positions of power. She was given her jobs because she is a right winger. That's why the entire capitalist class was united behind her.
And yet she, like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's helpful now. We've discarded the Clintons with Epstein, and now with this, these are the kinds of politics we need to leave behind.
We discarded them a long time ago. At least I hope you did. Fuck, they were discardable in 2003. Really, they should have been discarded in 1998, but whatever, or 1992. Fuck.
This is her speaking at Miriam Adelson's conference, by the way. One of the
largest donors to Donald Trump.
So yeah, I mean, sticking together here.
Like donated almost I don't know,
100 million
over 100 million, like probably
this time.
This time. You know, at least 10%, maybe closer to 20%, maybe 40% of what he ran on.
Didn't she basically pay for him to move the capital?
Oh, that was the first time around. Yes.
Yeah.
Students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious problem for.
What's the problem? What's the problem? Please explain. People are learning from TikTok what happened. Why is that a problem, Hillary? Please.
Democracy, whether it's Israel or the United States, and it's a serious problem for our young people. And it was frankly shocking to me how little the students we were encountering, not only in this class we teach, which is a very large class, international relations about crisis decision making, but students more generally. And that's why I mentioned the social media piece of it, because when you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind of reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history, they had very little context, and what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda. And so when you think about how
the propaganda is not from the Ministry for Diaspora Affairs from Israel, and that's not the propaganda, guys. The propaganda is the Palestinian videos of children being exploded. That's the propaganda.
Tell Israel's story, and it's important. It's not just looking internally, it's looking externally, and particularly looking at young people, because, it's not just the usual suspects. It is a lot of young Jewish Americans who don't know the history and don't understand.
Okay. First off,
by the way, notice that she doesn't ever say what the history is. Notice that she doesn't ever actually make an argument. This is something that you should always keep track of, because I do. If someone just gives you conclusions, they don't respect you. If somebody gives you facts and evidence, they respect you. You give orders to your subordinates, you give information to your equals. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody giving you information cannot be biased or trying to persuade you or have ill intent. They are communicating how they see the relationship between you to be understood. So she's barking orders and declaring entire categories of content to be propaganda without example, without evidence, without argument. She thinks of herself as your ruler. No different than a king or queen.
I don't know what the F she means by the usual suspects. Oh, is there more? There's more. All right. I mean, this is so offensive. And it is so indicative of somebody who is so incredibly out of touch and so set in her ways, so convinced. Was it her? Was it Bill Clinton that went and called it Judea and Samaria?
Yep.
I mean, this is even in the context of like liberal Zionism, this is bat crap crazy stuff that she's talking about.
And she has the temerity to lecture young Jewish Americans as what kind of Christian is she? I don't really care. But the fact that she can have the arrogance to sit up there and say that, and the fact that she expects a positive reaction from that audience at this Zionist fundraiser or event, essentially, says everything that we need to know about the sincerity of people believing that protecting Israel is in some way protecting Jewish people.
Put up the volume on this clip. I think it's a little bit low for people.
Who don't know the history and don't understand. Eric, I was talking to Condi Rice, and she said in an interview that I did after the 20-point plan came out, she and I were on CBS, and she said, when people were chanting from the river to the sea, she would ask the students what river, what sea, they didn't know. I had the same experience. A lot of the challenge is with younger people. More than 50% of young people in America get their news from social media. Pause on that for a second. They are seeing short form videos, some of them totally made up, some of them not at all representing what they claim to be showing, and that's where they get their information.
Yeah.
It's the Jordan to the Mediterranean. It is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the names of the bodies of.
By the way, she's making it up. She's making it up. She's lying. She's lying. Do you understand? That's called a lie. She's doing a propaganda lie. Stop trying to say that it doesn't matter. She's just lying. She didn't play a video of her talking to Harvard students and then asking that question and then not knowing. She's lying. It's to feed into your idea that young students don't know enough about the world. They're naive and uneducated and inexperienced. When in reality, those students have studied this issue more than everyone else. She is playing into stereotypes. She's a lying propagandist worm.
Water. It's about the idea that in Greater Israel, which is basically how the society has functioned, in the West Bank being illegally occupied and the Gaza Strip basically being an open-air concentration camp, of course, East Jerusalem too, that the reality is that Palestinians already live under Israeli rule. So when we say from the river to the sea, what we mean is an end to the occupation and equal rights for all, and just dealing with the reality of everybody living together. You know, remember when she was calling Bernie Sanders supporters racist? You support an ethno-state. Remember when she was talking about how Trump's all into alternative facts or whatever? These are alternative facts. When she talks about this being driven by young people, this is just factually incorrect. Changing, and this is almost a year old, this poll, but still quite relevant. When you look at the Democrats here in terms of where negative views of Israel are rising in terms of percentage, the highest there from 50 and older for Democrats, because younger Democrats were already quite critical of Israel by this point. So the entire premise of what she's saying is that all those 50-plus-year-olds that are on TikTok, that must have really spread to them now. I don't know a ton.
I got to tell you, that is a over 50-year-old who looks at the social media. It's hypnotic.
Right.
I can't.
So when she lectures Jewish kids who don't know their own history, maybe she should take a look at the actual data that shows that what's really driving the fact that only 8% of Democrats, the party she's supposed to be a part of, support Israel's military action in Gaza, then it must just all be TikTok hallucinations and psychosis. No, it's older people, and the information they're getting is also leading them to conclude, which now over 70% of Democrats say Israel's committing genocide. Like, who are you talking to?
This is the equivalent of like Anita Bryant saying that the problem with Vietnam is that we've got too many news media people coming and showing footage of war. And it's not right. I mean, that is exactly what the analogy is. Maybe it wasn't Anita Bryant, it was some other reactionary lunatic at the time. But that's who she is now. She is complaining not about disinformation, because they're really, I mean, honestly, like, what's the disinformation?
Because it isn't disinformation. It's children being exploded on video. And people are seeing what you used to term collateral damage and you were happy to laugh at. People are seeing it and they object.
Information. Like, what is it that we're seeing on our TV now when 83%, if not more, of the structures in Gaza?
Chrono, I get what you're saying, but I'm going to time you out because that statement out of context is going to make you look like you're being anti-Semitic, even though I know you're not. So I need you to time you out because that statement, stripped of context, I know you put quotes around it and everything. You need to word that better because people are now taking chats out of context.
Gaza completely obliterated. When we see tens of thousands of children dead, there's no dispute about that. That's not a controversial statement by any stretch.
It is to Sarah Hurwitz. The wall of dead children.
That's what she's saying too.
No, she agrees there's a wall of dead children.
Yeah.
She's just saying that it emotionally impacts people's ability to make a proper assessment about the situation.
Same point.
Like, what is the point of any of it if a wall of dead babies does not impact your decision making? Like,
the answer is American global hegemony and capitalism is more important to her than all the dead babies in the world. That's why she's Hillary Clinton. She loves dead babies. To her, a wall of dead babies has no part to play in determining whether a side is good or not. To her, the side is good is the side that sides with her interests. It's narcissism on a global scale.
Like how sort of like demented and how much they've lost the plot. They're like, she can't.
This is where liberal analysis, even social liberals like Sam and Emma, who I like, you've now run out of the rope. You know, this was a channel that spent most of 2016 banging the Gotta vote for Hillary Drum. I agreed with that at the time. What do you think changed? Do you think we changed, or do you think Hillary Clinton changed? The answer is we've changed, and your politics have got to advance based on current conditions. Hillary Clinton is not demented. She is a capitalist. She is a liberal. She is a neoliberal, capitalist, American exceptionalist, Zionist. She's the same she was 10 years ago, Sam. This is what supporting American power has always meant. The only difference is that people like me and people like Hassan and people like you guys finally have the ability to speak to the nation. I am reminded of the Frederick Douglass 4th of July speech, where he talks about if he had the ability to take the nation's ear. Here, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up exactly what I'm talking about. Because when we now, for the first time, us radical leftists, have the opportunity to take control of the nation's ear directly. And this is a power that Hillary Clinton is working overtime to stop, to block, to go back to the way it was, where we were given no room to speak, no influence. And this is where we are. This is who we are.
To the American slave, is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty, an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes that would disgrace a nation of savages. There's not a nation of the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour forth a stream, a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and the crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced.
And that's why they hate TikTok. That's why they hate this channel. Because the first time they've lost control of the organs of discourse and argument and thought and evidence, the gatekeepers have been overtaken. You can see the truth. You can look at the humanity of people, whether they're in Gaza or Beijing. You can see these are just human beings like me. They've got families like me. They want to live in peace. They want to have fun. They want to enjoy delicious food. They want to be entertained. And they want love and acceptance and freedom. That idea that every human being is comprehensible to every other human being is the antidote to nationalism. It is the end of hate. It is the end, most importantly, of capitalism. Because once we all see the humanity in one another, only the most depraved and twisted ones are going to want to deny a morsel of food to a hungry child, or shelter to the unhoused, or clothing to the naked. We live in an abundant world. But right now we have dragons hoarding piles of gold that would stretch to the moon if they weren't on databases, if they weren't ones and zeros. And it's never enough. If Elon Musk had $1 trillion, would it be enough? If he had 10 trillion, if he had 50 trillion, it would never be enough. He would use that money to squash anybody who ever made fun of him or criticized him or thought anything against him. You are not just facing greed, you are facing wrath. You are facing every impulse that makes humanity flawed is empowered by capitalism. Every virtue of ours is devalued. Everything that makes humanity unique, whether it's creativity, whether it is trust, whether it is love, it's all tawdry, for sale. We saw that video earlier in the stream where those guys are trying to set up betting markets on every difference of opinion. I want you to understand that these depraved ghouls do not value anything. And the thing is, with all the money in the world, they don't make anything. They don't build anything. They're not building parks and libraries and hospitals and bridges. They're not protecting animals. They're not feeding the hungry. It just sits in a pile. Maybe they'll get a gaudy boat to sail around the world with, while servants cater to their every whim. But the whims are small and tiny and transitory and ultimately meaningless. Whatever happened to having a whim to educate 1 million children? Whatever happened to a whim to end world hunger? They don't have those whims. It's all just the most pathetic shit. And Hillary Clinton is their servant. Barack Obama is their servant. Gavin Newsom is their servant. Pete Buttigieg has dedicated his life to being the most tawdry servant of capital he could be. When I think about the most evil sociopaths that are competing for world power, my mind always goes back to Pete Buttigieg, because he was a Harvard graduate, son of a Marxist professor. He had a Rhodes Scholarship, which is a free master's education at Oxford University, one of the most prestigious academic grants you could get. And after he left Oxford, where he converted from Catholic to is it Anglican or Episcopalian? I don't know. He converted religions to be more acceptable to the upper crust British elite, because they're biased against Catholics in the UK. So in order to fit in more with the rich blue bloods, he changed his religion at Oxford. And then when he could have worked for any company, any nonprofit, any organization in the world, he chose to work for McKinsey & Company, which is a company that's so fucking vile, other capitalists turn their nose up at them. They're the people that capitalists go to when their executives don't have the stomach to do some evil scheme to make more money that hurts people. They hire McKinsey & Company to come in and do it for them. It's for executives who are disgusted by what they need to do. They hire McKinsey & Company as bagmen to come commit the crimes for them. That's who he chose to work for. I want you to understand that is the ghoulishness of this man, the sociopathy of this man, the way he has disregarded your humanity for personal advancement. I don't think there's anybody who's more self-aware of that sociopathic decision than Pete Buttigieg. I legitimately find him to be my polar opposite in every way. The purest, most inauthentic, power-grubbing bastard that could possibly exist. The reason why these people want power is to control you. The reason why Elon Musk wants money is because it's funny when you do shit for money. This all links back to what Ethan Klein did to Kaceytron, right? Like, Kaceytron was forced to do that apology because if she loses her money in our society, you lose your home and you're out on the street. And because she has love in her heart for her family that she's caring for, she was willing to sacrifice a part of her self-respect and dignity in order to protect her family. Why? Because capitalism doesn't care why you don't have money. It doesn't matter if the lawsuit was frivolous. Either you can pay the mortgage or you can't. And if you can't pay the mortgage, the sheriff comes and throws you out of your house onto the street and tells you to fucking die. And that's what rich people in Ethan Klein, that's why they love capitalism, right? That's why he loves capitalism. That's why when Hassan tried to talk to him about socialism, he likes being rich, because being rich is about power over other people And what capitalism does is it tries to get you to sell the parts of yourself that you cherish. Now, I want you to know, chat, that it didn't work because everybody saw exactly what it was. So Ethan Klein wasn't able to buy with his lawyers what he wanted, which is our fear and our respect. Nobody respects you. Nobody fears you. Nobody thinks any less of Casey. In fact, I admire her all the more because she did something that's incredibly tough to do because of the people that she loves. Do you know how hard that is? But women are doing this every fucking day in our misogynistic society, and scumbags like Ethan Klein enjoy bullying women and using their love against them. And every single person in the fucking world saw that for what it is. If you thought it was funny, you're a disgusting sadist and your mother hates you. That's really what it is. Because your mother, assuming she loves you, would have done the same thing to save you. Your mother would have read some bullshit apology into a fucking camera if she had a gun to your head. That's what love is. So I'm sorry I got off on this rant, but I need you to understand something, chat, that Hillary Clinton wants you to fucking die. If you died tomorrow, it wouldn't even bother her at all. If California was nuked into the fucking ground, as long as capitalism was fine, she'd get over it quick. You are nothing but expendable drones to her. And the nation is something to manipulate because you feel American, and so they use that in order to get power over you. That's what these capitalists, these cosmopolitan capitalists, they don't believe in nation. They don't give a fuck. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton grew up in where? Where would they get their power? Arkansas. Where do they live now? Manhattan. What happened to Arkansas? What, they brought you into the national stage? Governor of Arkansas, Little Rock. What happened? Except that was nothing but a stepping stone, and she stepped to Manhattan with the rest of the capitalist class. I love Kaceytron. Ethan Klein's bullshit. Her family. Exactly. This is exactly right. And the thing is, though, this isn't the first time. Kaceytron has been fighting the good fight on Twitch for a decade. I don't understand how tough that is. The strength of character. That's why, of all of my friends, Kaceytron is the friendship that I cherish more than anyone. Because if Kaceytron says she fucks with me, if she loves me, if she cares for me, that means I'm on the right side. He made her a martyr. He straight up lost 10K subs the day Casey dropped the apology. Is that true? He got his big apology. How come his viewers are down? How come November was the worst month he's ever had? Except for the one where he was gone for 2 weeks. What happened? He's winning, guys. What happened? The goofs and gaffs. There's that negative 10K from Wednesday with 2 more videos posted. Goofs and gaffs. I don't know how they afford everybody. With a channel that's falling off this hard, how do they afford everybody? All right, back to this. Back to ranting about Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry for my long-ass rant that touched a bunch of topics, but they're all related. It's all related.
Point to any type of misinformation that these kids supposedly have that has tainted their perspective on this conflict. It is a genocide, and that's the part that what she is lamenting is that for the first time, we have a media universe where stuff is getting outside of the
traditional channels.
The traditional channels, and is not being gate-kept. That's what she is talking about.
I just can't get over the temerity of her to lecture young Jews and say they don't know their history. I mean, the amount of arrogance that she can deploy there to sit there and say that kind of thing. Perhaps young Jews really do know their history. Perhaps they understand the history of the Holocaust and they think never again for anybody. And instead of seeing a bunch of dead babies and having the reaction as to this is too much for me. I can't get too emotional about opposing this genocide. Maybe that taught them oh, I see some of the history that I learned about in Hebrew school. Maybe I see that in these starving children, these starving people. That is I mean, it's an obvious lesson. And the fact that she's still trying to claim that there should be no connection is deeply disturbing. Yeah.
even Trump, who was lying, pretended to have more empathy for those children than Hillary Clinton.
Marjorie Taylor Greene pretends to have more empathy for those children than Hillary Clinton. And that I do not say that lightly.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
Oh, God. Ugh. Mike, this is what I tell fellow nerds about healthcare capitalists. They depend on us to carry water for them and then cover for their profit-seeking antics. I keep saying we have to stop. Yeah, it's really bad. But if it makes you feel any better, chat, I think we may see the opportunity for a profound political realignment in the coming 3 years. This is our moment. This is our moment. When Bernie Sanders dropped out of the election in 2020, I told you guys it's going to probably be at least 8 years before we have another shot. We are 5 years through that period. I was honest. I don't know if did anybody ever clip that? But in 2020, when Bernie Sanders dropped out, I said, look, guys, this means that it's probably going to be at least 8 years before we get another shot. Because, that's the way it goes. That's the way, if we beat Trump, it's going to be at least 8 years. And I think a lot of people at the time, we don't like to think about in blocks that big because you don't have that many 8-year blocks in your life. Okay? You don't, 8 years is a big chunk of your life. All right? So when somebody says, we've just missed the chance and we're going to be waiting at least 8 years, that's something you don't want to hear. I told you it anyway, because I need you to be mature. And I feel like a lot of online politics is about leaning into as much people's immaturity and their impatience. I don't want you to ever lose that impatience. I don't want you to ever lose your ambition. I'm not telling you to lose those things. I'm not asking you to lose your horizon or your North Star. But what I'm asking you to do is understand how to read reality for what it is so you can win on the next battlefield. And we have spent a hard 5 years in the wilderness. A lot of people tell themselves that Bernie Sanders and AOC's strategy failed because they got captured by the establishment after they won. And in reality is they lost, guys. They never won anything. You're delusional. You're fantasizing about a world that never happened. They lost, guys. They lost. You need to get that. Now, they didn't go away because they held on to some power, but they're backbenchers. They're marginal. We are a small action, and we're muddling through trying to come to the best outcomes we can. Definite disagreements on what that means, but the reality is we're gonna get another shot, and it's coming. The 8 years is over. It will be anyway. Now is the time for ambition and opportunity, the likes of which I have never seen in my life. A combination of a collapse of the Republican Party and a collapse of the centrist neoliberal establishment has never lined up in my life. Right now is the golden opportunity that you probably the only one you're ever going to get if we don't win. This is it. I hope you feel the butterflies. I hope you feel the anxiety. I hope you feel the energy. Because we are ascendant and we must grab the brass ring today. No more waiting, no more justating, no more proofing. Now is the time. I'm the cook. This is a report from yesterday afternoon. Mike Johnson faces widespread Republican revolt. Why? Because the Republican Party is in free fall. Donald Trump's approval rating is in the shitter. The Republican Party's in the shitter. The economy is in this weird moment of uncertainty, propped up by a gigantic AI bubble, propped up by speculation and debt and any exogenous shock, anything that puts doubt in the minds of the people is going to result in a crash. As soon as the animal spirits turn negative, it's going to be over. And if you combine a discrediting of the Democratic Party establishment, the discrediting of Donald Trump and right-wing populism and an economic recession, that is recipe for radical change, the likes of which even I, to this day, don't know what the horizon will be. We need to be preparing. We need to be ready, both on the streets and in the ballot box. We need to be ready for anything. We need to be ready to go. All right, hold on. Holy Toledo, chat.
Overnight, there was a special election for an open house seat in the state of Tennessee, and the Republican candidate won. And a win is a win, right?
So you're saying Whitmer Bashir 2028. I swear to God, it will be a Handmaid's Tale reenactment before that happens. Okay? By the way, Whitmer, remember when people were saying Brig Gretch and I was like, no, she fucking sucks, and everybody got mad at me? Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that, chat? Whatever happened? I guess I was right. After all, we'll just ignore that.
Still, Democrats seem to be smiling this morning. Why? Because the margin of defeat was much slimmer than Republicans have been doing in that district. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. Let's talk about the numbers.
Let's talk about the numbers. Republicans should be running for the hills this morning because the blue wave is building, my dear friend, Mr. Berman. What are we talking about here? Well, Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, he won it by 9, but this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, 15 points, 17 points. This is a 13-point gain for the Democrats in terms of the margin, and excuse time for Republicans is over because I hear all about these special elections. Oh, the turnout's so low. It's not representative of what happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal to the turnout in the 2022 midterm election. So the blue wave, it seems to be building right out of center of Tennessee.
Interesting. I mean, so in terms of the numbers, the turnout looked like a regular midterm election, not a special election.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And of course, we have, what, about 11 months?
All right. What have we seen in terms of trends in all the special elections the last year?
Okay. You know, I wouldn't necessarily give a hooting and hollering about one special election in Tennessee. I love the people in Central Tennessee, but Central Tennessee is nothing special compared to the rest of the country. But what we see happening is, take a look here. Okay, 2025 U.S. House special elections. Dems outrunning Kamala Harris. A lot of blue here, a lot of blue, which is what I think the nation might look like a year from now if these results hold. Arizona 7, you see a 17 outperformance of Kamala Harris. 23 points in Florida 1, 16 points in Florida 6, 13 points in Tennessee 7, 28 points in Texas 28, and then 17 points in Virginia 11. So we've seen it throughout the nation, whether you go from the suburbs of Washington, D.C., all the way to the southwest in Arizona, whether you're looking at Texas, whether you're looking at Tennessee, whether you go down to Florida, we have seen the Democratic outperformance of Kamala Harris happening across the political map. What happened last night in Tennessee ain't just staying in Tennessee. It is spreading itself throughout the nation. As I said, to me, looking at these results, it looks like a blue wave is building.
And it's not just that it's blue, it's that it's double-digit blue.
It is exactly right. It's double-digit blue. I will note, I looked at the stats. If, in fact, you had a 13-point shift like we saw in Tennessee, and you applied that to the 2024 presidential map, we are talking about a gain for Democrats of north of 40 seats.
All right, in terms of the history, what does this mean as we project forward?
Okay, so we're looking at these special elections. We're sort of applying these hypothetical numbers, right, in terms of, Democrats would gain north of 40 seats if, you moved everything over, 13 points from the 2024 presidential result. But we actually have history to show that what happens in special elections doesn't just stay in special elections. It spills over to the midterm results. Special elections and midterm results.
What he means by ahead of Kamala? Basically, Kamala Harris performed, say, 45% in a district. She got 45% of the vote in a specific district. If you outperform Kamala, that means that you get great. Outperforming means getting greater than 45%. If somebody says they outperformed Kamala Harris by 13 points, it means that you could take Kamala Harris's percentage of the vote and add 13 percentage points to it. As you can imagine, a 13-point swing is gargantuan.
I just keep going to this. When a party outperformed in special elections since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they went on to win a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. What happened last night in Tennessee is a very bad omen for Republicans and a very, very good omen for Democrats.
Now, this is true. This is true, chat. This is important to understand. This is the thermostatic effect. Basically, people are going, oh, God, Trump actually sucks. I remember why I hated him. And in fact, things are getting worse. And people are like, this is a lot worse than his first presidency. He kind of sucks shit and he's annoying and he's a racist and he makes me feel bad. I don't like this guy. I don't care if Democrats win as a goal in and of itself. I am somebody who cares about people. Okay. So if the Democrats that benefit from this period are centrist Democrats, then it doesn't fucking matter. And we'll have the right wing surge again, this time with someone who's even more of a Nazi than Trump. The only way we're going to break out of this cycle of swinging back and forth is when somebody wins and solves the problem. Now, what is the problem? The problem is the feeling that people have that their government doesn't give a shit about them and nothing matters and that their life is getting worse. If the right goes in, they're going to basically have to blow up democracy to end that problem, because guess what? Capitalism sucks and it's making everything worse, and they're the supporters of capitalism. If we are going to be able to defeat fascism and slay that beast once and for all, we have to build a polity that rejects scapegoatism, vulnerable minorities, in favor of naming our actual enemy, which is the rich capitalist fuckers like Elon Musk. And when you start delivering in a way that people could say, oh, I got that because of this program. This made my life better. My neighborhood looks better. My kids' schools look better. That's the only way. And when people see that and then they connect it back to the political project that you did, then people will approve of you. That's the thing. So notice that there's multiple stages here. First, you have to win. Second, you have to implement the program. Third, the program has to work. And fourth, people have to connect the program working with what you did. That's a tough fucking program. That's a tough reality. You can't just, if you do 3 of those steps, but people don't know it's because what you did, well, then you're going to lose the next election. If you get elected, but you don't pass anything, well, then you're going to fucking lose because everything's going to get worse. We have a very difficult project ahead of us, but if we succeed, my God, if we succeed, the sky is the fucking limit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
This morning, the results are in, and the Republican candidate won a special election for an open seat in Tennessee. The Republican won. So why are Democrats smiling? You're looking at the results here. Matt Van Epps beat Afton Ben by about 9 points.
Oh, and by the way, Chad, just to give some of my more analysis on this, I think I talked about it before, but the reason why Matt Van Epps won is because they turned this basically into a almost midterm turnout. Basically, the Republicans were induced to turn out. So the Democrats were energized, but the Republicans were also energized by Donald Trump and a bunch of money that was pumped in late. And so they turned out. And so the district being so gerrymandered made it an impossible lift. There just wasn't enough Democrats in the district to beat the partisan Republicans showing up. That's what gerrymandering does for you. However, she ran an incredible campaign. And had it stayed under the radar, she would have won. The problem is that there's no such thing as a under the radar race anymore, chat. There's no such thing. There's too much money in politics. There's too much attention being paid to every single seat. There is no under the radar anymore.
But this is a really red district. It's a district that President Trump won by 22 points last year. With us now, CNN political analyst David Axelrod. And Ax, when we look at the list of special elections over the last year, this was a 13-point swing in Tennessee. Seen swings of 17, 19, 16, 12. What's really impressive is I did all that math on the fly. But what do these trends tell you? If you're in the party right now in Congress, what are you thinking?
Well, first of all, a little noted fact about this election was the Republicans came in like gangbusters at the end to save Van Epps, and they were successful. Yeah. What they needed.
And we saw this clip the other day. I just wanted to show you that we have a situation where we have a once in a lifetime opportunity to flip this shit. We really do. We really, really do.
We will be getting Bubble Bobble. I just need to set up my fucking emulator.
ADP shows small businesses. Costco is now the biggest retailer to sue the Trump administration in an effort to preserve tariff refunds. We're waiting on a big Supreme Court decision, which may or may not declare many of the president's tariffs not legal. But what do the American people think now about the tariffs? One man has the answer. CNN chief data analyst Harry
We're number one, and I'm one man.
All right, talk to me about right now views of tariffs, broadly speaking.
Yeah, this is a topic on which the American people have shifted significantly, and they have shifted significantly against tariffs. I mean, this just gives you an indication. I mean, just look at this shift over the last year. When Donald Trump was elected back in November of 2024, 52% of Americans favored new tariffs on imported goods, 48% opposed. Look at this switcheroo now. By late October of 2025, the clear majority, 62%, opposed new tariffs. That favor number has absolutely plummeted down to 38% on the key policy that Donald Trump has been pushing since the beginning of this second term. The American people have shifted completely against the president of the United States.
That's just a complete reversal right there. How about Americans' approval of the president on the issue?
This issue is dragging Donald Trump down. Because why? What are we just looking at here? Trump's net approval rating on trade/tariffs. In January, it was okay, right? It was doing okay. It was -2 points. But in this political environment and the fact that polls oftentimes underestimate Donald Trump, this ain't too bad of a number. Look at where we are now. -24 points, a shift of 20 points away from the president of the United States. I was looking at data around this point in his first term. This is double digits worse, as well as he was at this point on trade and tariffs, as where he was in term number one at this point. The American people have moved against tariffs, and they have definitely moved against Donald Trump when it comes to tariffs.
What do people think the tariffs do, basically, the prices?
Yeah, the question is why? What's cooked?
Powerful. The fact that Americans are turning against tariffs, it'll be incredibly awesome for China. if a left-wing government of America comes in and tries to cut tariffs, it's going to be like, it would work so well. If you allowed Chinese companies to import cars, the car prices in America would absolutely crash. Everybody would be buying a fucking car. It would be nuts.
And why are the folks moving against Donald Trump? Why are they moving against tariffs? I mean, this just gives you an indication. Say tariffs effect on prices in the short term. Increase in March, 72%. 72% of Americans believed that tariffs raised prices in the short term in March. You come over to October, Donald Trump's been making the argument, and the American people ain't buying it, Johnny Berman, ain't buying it. 71%. It is awfully difficult when the number one issue in the country right now is inflation, is affordability, and folks believe that a signature policy of yours increases prices. That is no bueno. That is no good. No wonder Americans are moving against tariffs and moving against Donald Trump on tariffs. As I said at the beginning, it is dragging down.
And look, it's a tell when the administration cuts tariffs on coffee so that it will reduce coffee prices. It tells you what they think about that. So one of the things the president has said is floated the idea maybe he'll give tariff income checks, stimulus checks based on the revenue from tariffs to the American people. Do American people, do they feel like these checks are coming?
Yeah, okay. So, one of the best ways we can look at this is the prediction markets, because they give you an indication of where people are putting their money where their mouth is, right? Do they think that the tariffs, that these rebate checks are actually coming? And at this point, no. No, I mean, Trump tariffs, the tariff stimulus checks are sent to Americans by of 2026, it's a 25% chance. That's a 1 in 4, so that's not nothing. But the American people right now are craving some relief, and at this point, it doesn't look like it is coming. Although I will note, John Berman, this 25%, it is greater. 6% who say that tariffs decrease prices, or that 5% back in March, which are just, you never see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. So look, 25% ain't nothing. But at this point, it's low.
Yeah, it's interesting. The prediction markets think that only 1 in 4 chance that will actually happen there. Harry, great to see you. Thank you very much.
Costco is taking on President Trump over tariffs, but they're not alone. The retail giant is now the biggest company to sue the Trump administration for a refund if the Supreme Court declares the sweeping new tariffs illegal. Costco is joining other companies that have made some similar arguments, including Bumblebee Foods and Revlon. CNN's Matt Egan is joining me now. To be clear, most companies have not wanted to be seen by Trump, to be sort of going after him in any way. That many of them have kowtowed to him. So what are we seeing here?
Yeah, well, Sarah, you're right. Big business has been kind of tiptoeing around the Trump White House all year, right? CEOs of public companies, they've been very reluctant to battle a president who has not been shy about retaliating. Even when the president launches policies, they're going to hurt their bottom lines, right? The thinking has been, yes, tariffs might shrink their profits, but these CEOs also have mergers that they want the administration to bless, and they don't want to invite regulatory investigations. And so, yes, that's why this Costco lawsuit is so noteworthy. This really is the highest profile company to battle the president on tariffs. They're arguing in this lawsuit that the president exceeded his authority with tariffs. They want full refunds, and Costco did not hold back in this lawsuit, right? They argued that Congress really has to provide guardrails to a president to apply, right? And they say that the 1977 law that the president is relying on, IEPA, provides no such guardrails. And to make their point, they effectively said, if you don't believe us, just look at the mess that we're in. The lawsuit says the pell-mell manner, they point to the pell-mell manner by which these on-again, off-again IEPA duties have been threatened, modified, suspended, reimposed, and the market's gyrating in response. If that's not poking the bear, I don't know what is. But look, Sarah, Costco, they can read the room, right?
Yeah. Ella Boolaloo, thank you for the tier 3.
They know that even though the president loves tariffs, the public does not, right? Tariff approval has just plummeted. Last November, CBS News had a poll where only 48% of adults opposed new tariffs on imported goods. But look at this. As of October, 62% opposed. So the more the public sees of tariffs, the less they like them. And that means that Costco doesn't necessarily have to worry about alienating that much of their customer base. So now I'm just fascinated to see what happens next. Is the White House going to retaliate against Costco? Is this a one-off, or did this lawsuit provide enough political cover to allow other companies to follow in Costco's footsteps? It's going to be fascinating.
I feel like Costco is probably like one of the most positively thought of brands and retailers in the country. I think I think you're hard pressed to find a retailer that people generally think is not a bad company. They're known for having relatively generous pay and benefits for their workers, even though they're non-union. They tend to have prices that seem to be fair or competitive on almost everything they sell. And it's just a quintessentially American experience to go to Costco. Get yourself a $5 fucking rotisserie chicken. Get yourself a $1.50 hot dog and soda. Get yourself a fucking pumpkin pie that's like $6 and 5 pounds. Gigantic fucking like pumpkin pie like this big. You know, like we get it. It is so it is a strong brand, and it's just continued to grow. Their margins on goods are razor thin. Where they recover is in membership fees. But that's the thing. That's the thing. If you buy a lot of their products, it ends up being a win for you compared to other retailers. That's why people like Costco. Overall, I could just say this. All of this information that we talked about today is about a larger a coalescing of factors that are going to give us on the left a real opportunity. And what I want you to understand is that the very first thing we need is for you to believe the words that are coming out of my mouth about the level of opportunity we have and how we have to do it now. We've been gestating, we've been waiting for our time to strike. The time to strike is now. It's here. So I need you to join your local DSA. I think you need to find yourself a socialist or progressive organization or campaign to get involved with. Maybe you should be running yourself. But I need you to understand that that is a project that you will need to dedicate your time to, your life to, in order to succeed. And I believe in you, and I will be here for you. All right, everybody, that's where I'm going to call it today. Thank you guys for all the support. I forgot to shill today, but it's okay. We're going to be rating a member of our community who is streaming, and they don't know that I'm going to raid them. They are just a random member of our community, a random progressive guy that we love named Wooish, and they're not expecting it. And they're not going to be able to handle it. So it's going to be very funny. I have decided that we need to be more involved in promoting wholesome left-wing people with good hearts on this platform. So I'm sending you to Wooish. DSAL, DSA raid in the chat. All right, everybody. Stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. Here's all my links. Make sure you hit all those buttons. You hit all the likes. You click on the videos on YouTube. I appreciate you, and I will see you all soon. Stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. That's how socialism wins. And get ready to spam Wooish.